to Amy Jones, hits the ball high in the air, into the leg side, and for six. 6 runs, the 200 up, and it's a record score in the T20 Women's World Cup. Jones delivering a mighty blow into the leg side.
Diana is in, and Wolford tries for 4. South Africa win the match. They win by 10 wickets.
Hello and welcome back to Newlands, and welcome to the second semi-final of the Women's T20 World Cup. We heard Australia just about book their place in the final with a 5-run win over India yesterday. Today, it's England against the tournament host South Africa. The sun is shining, decent crowd already in, though it is still reasonably early in the afternoon, coming up to 3 o'clock. It should be rocking as this Newlands crowd hope to see South Africa, who lost the tournament opener 2 weeks ago today against Sri Lanka, unexpectedly booking their place in the final. England are favourites for this game, make no mistake about that, but it's T20 cricket, it's tournament cricket, and when the hosts are involved in a semi-final, you just never know what's going to happen. We'll get the thoughts of our team here and go through all of the team news and predictions shortly. Let's head out to the middle for the toss. The two captains alongside Nasser Hussain.
Perfect conditions again at Newlands for this second semi-final. Two captains, match referee are all ready. Sune loose with the coin. Give it a spin, please. Heads is the call from Heather Knight. Sune, you've won the toss. What are you going to do and why?
We're going to have a bat first today. Obviously use wicket and some runs on the board on a semi-final is always good.
What is your team news?
Same team today.
You must be really pleased with the way you've gone through the tournament. I know it was a nervy start here 2 weeks ago in that first game, but you've got better.
Yeah, 100%. I think to be in a semi-final of any World Cup is a very special occasion. Hopefully we can make the best of it today.
And you know England's batting lineup are going to come hard at you, but your bowling unit have been very, very good in this tournament.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's going to be a good matchup. I think both teams are very well balanced, so it's going to be a good contest today. The
challenge on a used pitch against their spinners, how much are you looking forward to that?
Yeah, I think that's why we play cricket, is for the challenge and to enjoy it and take it on. So, no, it's awesome and can't wait to take the field.
And you hope the people of Cape Town will come in and support you?
I hope they're knocking off it too.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Heather, you've lost the toss. What would you have done?
Yeah, I was going to bat as well. I was a bit on the fence, so I think it's maybe on a little on the dry side, so our spinners hopefully come into the game. But yeah, hopefully keep them to a low total and try and chase it down.
What is your team news?
Made one change from the last game. Lauren Bell comes back in for Fred Davis.
What's been striking is your positive intent. No fear cricket with the bat. You'll want that to continue even in a nervy knockout game.
Yeah, definitely. It's what we've talked about, trying to keep that mentality going no matter what the game, no matter what the opposition. So same message to the girls today: go and put your best foot forward, take on the game and try and entertain the crowd. And
there may be a few in. You mentioned the crowd there, but you've got plenty of players who've played in big games before.
Yeah, it's normal for the youngsters now, playing in 100 and playing in internationals all around the world. You tend to get big crowds, so the youngsters are used to that, and a lot of the girls thrive with that. So it's about trying to use the crowd energy, trying to get them on our side, because I'm sure they'll be behind South Africa, and we've got a good family contingent here who are going to try and shout loud for us.
Good luck today.
Thanks, Nas.
So the news from the middle is that South Africa have won the toss. They're going to have a bat.
Indeed, and England making that one change then. Out goes Fred Davis, in comes Lauren Bell. It's the side that beat India by 11 runs in Gqeberha a few days ago that sealed England's place at the top of the group and in this second semi-final. Alex Hartley, World Cup winner, is alongside me, as is South African journalist Verdus Munda. Alex, first of all, England would have batted first. That's what Heather Knight said. How do you feel about the outcome of that toss?
Yeah, you know what? It's 50-50, isn't it? England obviously want to bat first, and I'd have personally wanted England to bat first to get runs on the board, because if you get 200 like they did against Pakistan, you've won the game within the first 20 overs. So unfortunately they've lost the toss, they've had to bowl, so it's not going to be plain sailing. I mean, semi-finals never are. South Africa have a habit of losing semi-finals, so that gives it England's favour as well. But you know, South Africa aren't going to be a walkover. It's not a foregone conclusion that England are through to the final. I'm nervous, but I'm also confident in a strange way, because England have played unbelievable cricket throughout this World Cup.
But there's nothing to lose for South Africa. You walked in this commentary box and said, I've got a feeling today.
Yeah, I say that a lot. And usually when I say that, and in fact every time I've said it, South Africa have crashed out.
Oh, well, lovely.
I was hoping for a bit of a 12th player with the home crowd coming in. I think they're all stuck in the traffic. We've got the Grand Prix happening in town, and home crowd will be a big factor for South Africa. They also tend to crumble a little bit when there's too much expectation on them. So maybe starting in slightly quieter circumstances is better for them. Logic, on paper, results, history, everything says South Africa are not going to get to the final. But things happen in sport, and South Africa have been waiting to get to a final since 1992. So I guess this is another time, another occasion, and it's for them to put their best foot forward.
Alex, we heard at the toss, Sineli's South African captain, said hopefully work is knocked off at 2 today for most of the people in Cape Town so they can get into the ground. A little bit of a shame perhaps that this isn't an evening game, but television markets and one thing and another means that it's a 3 p.m. start.
Yeah, it's a massive shame, isn't it? I think, you have a cricket game after work, more people are going to come down. So unfortunately the crowd is bang average at the minute, but hopefully people start to come in. Maybe we'll see more people in the second innings, who knows, but it'd be a real shame if the crowd didn't build from here.
I think it actually works well in South Africa's favour, because what you don't want is a big crowd when you're batting, but you want their support when you're bowling, and it probably is going to be the way that it works out. One change for England, Alex, with Lauren Bell replacing Freya Davis. Any surprises there?
No, not at all. England have played their strongest 11 throughout this competition, bar against Pakistan where they rested Lauren Bell. A young seamer, don't want to overwork her and happen, her get a stressy or something, which is exactly what happened to Freya Kemp, who would be playing in this World Cup was she not injured. She'd be in that starting 11. So looking after Lauren Bell, that's England's strongest 11. That's the team that they've gone with from the start, and that's the team that they back themselves with, I guess, all the way through. Well,
England line up with Danny Wyatt, Sophia Dunkley, Alice Capsey, Nat Sciver-Brunt, who's been in such sparkling form, Heather Knight the captain, Amy Jones behind the stumps, Catherine Sciver-Brunt, Sophie Eccleston, Charlie Dean, Sarah Glenn and Lauren Bell. South Africa unchanged from that must-win game against Bangladesh here on Monday night. They've got Laura Wolfart, Tasmin Brits, Marizanne Kapp, Sune Luz is the skipper, Chloe Tran, Annika Bosch, Nadine de Klerk, Sinalo Jafta behind the stumps, Shabni Mishmael, Ayabonga Kakar and Nonkula Leko Malaba. So that is how the two teams line up. How much confidence, excitement is there amongst South African cricket writing fans, all that sort of thing that has been building up to this game for this?
Yeah, only a quiet optimism really, because we've been here so many times before. I do think the discussion around Dane van Niekerk that dominated the build-up has tamed a little bit, and people are no longer looking at that. They might if South Africa's batting comes up short. Looking at that 11, I still think they're a batter short. Lara Goodall hasn't played a match this tournament, and we know how much they miss an experienced middle order batter to get things moving, because they do seem to get stuck in those middle overs.
Alex, did you agree with that?
I couldn't agree more. I think they're missing 3 key batters, and it's 3 key batters that have been forced into retirement through politics or whatever. So it's a huge shame for South Africa. Their chances would have been so much bigger had those 3 players been involved, or had just that 1 player been involved. They'd have been a much better side. But we've stopped about it because we're going to have to move on at some stage, and we're going to have to get over the fact that South Africa have made that decision. That the cricket board have decided that you have to meet the fitness requirements. So if that's the way it's got to be, that's the way it's got to be. Now here's a view for you. Catherine Sciver-Brunt walking out with her niece and nephew.
Oh, is that who it was? I was going to say blonde hair and slight familial resemblances. So that's who it is, because she's got leading a mascot by each hand, and that's a lovely thing. Right then, the team's lining up in front of us, and here come the national anthems. And the national anthem of South Africa. There may not be quite as many spectators as they would have wanted in this crowd. This will fill up, unquestionably, it is all the time, but they're making some noise for this. There's some real passion out there.
Yeah, very emotional. We saw Marizanne Kapp wiping some tears from her eyes there as she finished the national anthem. It's a song of unity, isn't it, with 4 of our 11 official languages, and it always gets us going. It's such a great way to start things. It looks to me like South Africa are feeling a little bit of pressure, feeling like there's a lot expected of them, which there is, but this is it. They've got to go out there and make it happen.
I thought they were looking quite relaxed, Alex. What about England? How do you think they were looking?
They were looking great. I couldn't take my eyes off Catherine and Nat Sciver-Brunt, to be completely honest with you. Catherine Sciver-Brunt and Nat, they were away from the group, but purely because they wanted to be with Catherine's niece and nephew, and Catherine had tears in her eyes, and it was quite a big moment, that, and really sweet.
Because there were so many mascots, therefore they had to stretch the line a little bit.
They weren't away. The mascots weren't just stood on their own. Too many mascots.
Indeed. Right then, we're ready, pretty much ready to go. 2 umpires in the middle, Jacqueline Williams of the West Indies and Claire Polisak of Australia. Thank you to Feroz and Alex for the time being. The sun is shining at Newlands, Table Mountain. No tablecloth on top of there today. It's looking a picture. And we are set, ready to go for the second World Cup semi-final. England and South Africa both hoping to join Australia here on Sunday afternoon. And Georgia Elwys, a World Cup winner with England in 2017. We're going to watch an England side eager for early wickets as they dash out onto the field in their red and blue uniforms. Talk us through what you're expecting, and then it'll be Daniel Norcross.
Well, I'm super excited for this one. It's going to be an absolute cracker. England full of confidence, playing well, playing a fearless brand of cricket, but South Africa, the home nation, they've got the support of the crowd. It'll act to give them a boost, and they'll be spurred on by the crowd. So I think it's going to be a really closely fought battle. England will know they have to play well to overcome South Africa today.
Well, first impressions were, this time yesterday, I watched an Indian side rather lope defeatedly out into the middle and then pull off nearly one of the great victories you could wish to see. Well, England, by contrast, they came charging onto the outfield. Enormous enthusiasm. They're all up for this, and that there's no doubt. 14 weeks ago, Henry, Alex Hartley and I were watching another England team in a T20 semi-final. That was against India. They also bowled first. India got about 170 odd. We thought, oh, that's too much. Well, Butler and Hales knocked that off in 16 overs. So runs on the board, they can sometimes be handy, but not always, as the England team takes the knee, and one South Africa batter takes the knee. Tasnim Brits is still on her feet. Laura Wolfhart at the other end took the knee. The whistle's blown. We're almost ready to go. There's usually about a 1.5 minute wait after this. So just get on with it. But let me give you the field while we're at it. So slip is in place, something that was not in evidence yesterday when India started up against Australia. Slip deep third, point extra mid-off. That's the offside field. And on the onside, you've got a mid-on, mid-wicket, short fine leg and a deep square leg. Catherine Sciver-Brunt has ball in hand. She's just waiting for Jackie Williams to give the nod. Her left arm is still outstretched. And there you hear it. Play. Here we go. First ball of the semi-final. Catherine Sciver-Brunt in, and Wolfhart punches off the back foot into the covers but can't beat point. Danny Wyatt does the fielding, and there is no run. So now pitch, Georgia Elwys, doesn't really deteriorate that much, does it, over the course of one game? It was a fresh pitch yesterday. Only 40 overs were bowled on it. And what we saw yesterday was that it was not bad for batting.
Yeah, a little slow at times, I thought, and there was a little bit of spin for the spinners, so it'll be good for England.
Brunt in, cut through the covers, and that'll be the first boundary. Short and wide from Catherine Sciver-Brunt. And she's been slapped in front of square between cover and point along the ground by Laura Wolfhart. She is underway. Wolfhart batting a little bit out of her crease. He's in the air for a while, but it was hit dead square. The field has had no chance of cutting that off.
Well, it's a risky field from Catherine Sciver-Brunt. We know she shapes the ball away. We know Wolfhart is so strong through that offside, and there is a big gap there, so any stray in line, and she'll be punished.
Next delivery is fuller and straighter, and that's more like it as it's fielded at short extra cover. In fairness, it was a terrible ball and it got the treatment, so I'm sure she didn't intend to, but we are a little bit on Catherine Sciver-Brunt watch, because the last time, not the last time, the game before last against India at Oberka, she had a bit of a mare. Came back well in the last game against Pakistan. She's in again. That's again full and straight. That's more like it, as it's pushed to short mid-wicket, where her wife Nat Sciver-Brunt does the fielding. There's no run.
I think she's back.
I think she's back.
I think she's back. Just judging by these 4 deliveries, I know the one that was short and wide she wouldn't have liked, but the other 3 have been absolutely on the money. She's up for this. As you need your big game players in semi-finals and finals, and they got her back into some confidence and form in the last group game against Pakistan. I think she's right up for this.
She rushes away from us from the Kelvin Grove end. Wolfhart drives, but bat turns in her hand somewhat, and it goes only to Nat Sciver at short mid-wicket, and there's no run. Yes, a length is altogether better, isn't it? When it doesn't go right, that sort of shoulder drops, the left shoulder drops a bit, she goes into the pitch too soon.
Yeah, she just tries too hard, doesn't she? She's somebody who completely wears her emotions on her sleeve. You ride every ball with her, every event that happens out there. You know what she's feeling.
Here she is to complete the over, and this is driven nicely by Wolfhard, who's in good working order, but she can't beat Charlie Dean at short extra cover. That's the end of the over. Just the one loose delivery that was punished for 4. 5 dot balls South Africa begin, 4 without loss, and now thoughts turn to Tasnim Brits, because look, they won by 10 wickets. I don't quite know why I'm having a go, but in that must-win game that they played here on Tuesday, she got off to a very sticky start. She's been quite odd at the top of the order, hurtling at the bowlers. Be interested to see if she can find a bit more sort of calmness in her play, because she's losing her shape a fair bit. It's not really doing the job that they seem to have wanted her to do, which is go out and be the aggressor.
Yeah, it's quite clear what the idea is, isn't it? It's just the execution hasn't been there. The pitches have been quite slow throughout this tournament, and she struggled to time the ball, and it's almost like the harder she tries, the worse it is. You know, you tense up, don't you, with that bottom hand, and you lose your shape, as you said. So this is a big matchup for me.
Lauren Bell is into her with a slip in place. She comes in right arm over the wicket and drives, nicely check drive through the covers. It's being pursued in earnest by Danny Wyatt, who will cut it off, and they'll get back for a couple of runs. And that was a proper shot.
It's nice. Good start from Brits. Again, like we say, she's not overhit that, has she? She's just timed it, just punched it through the offside. Lauren Bell won't mind that. She'll be wanting to pitch the ball up, seeing if she can get a little bit of swing. We didn't see a huge amount yesterday, actually, did we, in the game? So
that was noticed, wasn't it? It was the least swing we've seen in any game. As Bell is in, and it all wraps on the pads. Bell loves it, but going down, she says, after giving a most magnificent appeal. She then turns to Kevin and says, I think it's going down. I haven't given you the field, I'm aware. The 2 boundary riders are at long leg and deep square, and that's in large part because Lauren Bell booms the ball in. It's a big in-swing bowler. So the cover for her out on the boundaries on the leg side for the right-hander. Mid-on and mid-wicket in place inside the ring. Slip Eccleston, who's slightly wide, short third and 3 in the ring in the offside as Bell is in, and this is driven, back onto the stumps, just past the right-hander. Bell's actually saying, is she saying I think I got a hand on it? No, she's not. I wondered if she might have just got a little touch on that, because the ball splattered the stumps at the non-striker's end. It was really close to her finger. It was very, very close, and Wolfhart was out of her ground, unsurprisingly, because it was hit so firmly back at her. That would have been a horrible way to go. It was hit really hard, and Wolfhart was just one step out of her ground. And had they been just the tiniest fingernails? Does Lauren Bell have long fingernails? I don't know.
Well, she's got very nicely painted fingernails, and they're not particularly long, no.
It might be worth actually having for every cricketer, male or female. Just have, I would say, not the index and third finger, but maybe on the 4th and 5th, just get yourself some really long fingernails to give yourself an extra bit of reach onto the ball.
I wouldn't like fielding with those. Imagine the ball smacked one of those, rip your whole fingernail off.
There is that danger, but you're doing it for the 3 lines, George. Bell is in again, short, wide outside the off stump, given as a wide. Interesting. So, well, from what I've seen so far, hasn't it? Brits has played her first 3 balls better than... It's a better start to her innings than I've seen, let's put it that way.
It's been interesting, hasn't it? The way Lauren Bell's pitched the ball up, she's got it to swing, but Brits has been equal to it. She's played some lovely drives, strong, powerful batter. She goes for the short ball, Belly, but just doesn't get it quite right.
Here comes Bell once more, and this is on the pads. Flicked away fine, but there is a fine leg in place. Sarah Glenn runs in and keeps the scoring to 1 leg by. Signalled by umpire Polosak.
I think for me, South Africa have only really got one batter who can take the game away from you, and that's Chloe Tryon. We've seen how she goes about her innings. These two at the top of the order have been accumulators. I know Brits is up there to try and smash it about, but we haven't seen her be too successful at that this tournament.
Bell into Wolfhard, faces her first ball from the in-swinger and just digs out a really full delivery back to the bowler, and there's no run. Right on the crease line. 8 without loss, South Africa. 1 ball left in the second. I suppose Marizanne Kapp as well. I suppose she's not a super biffer, is she? Yeah, I know what you mean. Tryon is the...
Yeah, she's the one that you wouldn't want in should they need 30 off 2 overs. I think I'd be quite content if Wolfhard or Kapp were in at that sort of stage.
Here comes Bell. Wolfhard bat raised, waits and drives. Back to Bell, who deflects the ball to mid-on off, I hope, hand, but it might have been a bit of knee. It was good work from the England base bowler, and end of the over, 4 from it, 2 of them extras, and it's South Africa 8 without loss after 2.
That's very good from Lauren Bell. The stumps have saved her a few runs that over, and her legs have saved her a few that over. So, but I think from that point of view, they're accumulators and they play good shots to good balls, and they're respectful of good balls. The way the England side tend to go out and play, it's all guns blazing, isn't it? And they turn good balls into boundary shots because they're so aggressive with it. Whereas you don't feel like the South African batting lineup is, the makeup is the same because of the way Wolfhard is, the way she accumulates. Kapp the same, Lee's the same. It's only really Tryon that you really fear can take the game away from you.
Catherine Silver-Brunt's going to have a second over, and down the wicket comes Brits, pushes into the offside, but can't beat the field. Goes to Dean at short extra, and there's no run. Well, they'll be feeling that a bit as well, won't they? Because they'll know that England have come into this stage of the tournament with the highest run rate of any side in T20 World Cup history. So they'll be aware that England are a side that can chase large totals, notwithstanding South Africa have a fine bowling attack. So it does put a bit of pressure on the top order, especially the new ball in the power play. Brunt in, and Brits punches off the back foot and again can't beat Dean at short extra, and there's no run. Suddenly Brits, after playing 2 lovely shots, is 2 off 6, and again the doubts will start to surface.
Yeah, it was a strange innings from her the other night, and by their own admissions in the press conference afterwards said they struggled and made it look a little bit harder than it probably was, and I think that was just the nerves of trying to get through to this home semi-final.
Here's Brunt into Brits, who pushes a ball that comes back into her up to mid-on, where Capsey does the fielding. Again, no run. 3 dot balls at the start of this over.
It's good from Catherine Brunt, not giving anything away apart from that first delivery, a little bit wider in her first over. Wolfhard punished. Since then she's been right on the money. She's given absolutely nothing away, no width, that horrible skiddy length that she bowls, and I'm sure she'll be using all of her tricks. She's got the away swing, she's got the wobble ball, we've seen her use the bumper.
Brunt into Brits, who pulls a short ball fine down towards deep fine leg. It will be cut off, only the 1 run. Brits will be a bit annoyed with that because it was a loose delivery, short and on the hip, and Bell did well to run round from deep fine leg to her right to cut that off. She needs to get either a little bit fine. She can get an awful lot on it, if truth be told.
She's angry with herself, isn't she, Catherine Silver-Brunt?
Why did I bowl that?
I think it was meant to be the bumper, but I don't think she bent her back quite enough, and the pitch was a little bit slow yesterday.
She's in once more, this time to Wolfhard, who drives expansively but can't beat the field. Again it goes to Dean at short extra cover, and this is interesting. I haven't seen Wolfhard play a shot so early on in her innings that she was winding up for a biggie there, and it didn't come off, but the intent is there.
Yeah, it's almost like you're right. That in the back of South Africa's minds, they know that the way this England side play, they can chase down such large totals that South Africa know that they need to post something substantial here to have any chance of going through, of course. And whether that then changes the way that the players like Wolvaart play, it'll be interesting to see.
Brunt into Wolvaart. Oh, it's beaten by a beauty. How that has missed, I do not know. She's gone driving at a ball that's gone between inside edge and leg stump, and a exceptional take from Amy Jones, diving away to her left, prevented by, so that was a rapid delivery, and that flew through. Oh, coat of varnish. Great stop from Jones, but that's the end of her fine over from Catherine Brunt. Apart from that one delivery, as it was in the first over, she's bowled 12 balls, 10 of them excellent. She's only conceded the 5 runs from her first 2 overs, and South Africa 9 without loss. And I just wonder, might Heather Knight be tempted to give her one more, dare I say, in the power play?
Yeah, well, you know, it'd be hard to get the ball out of her hand for sure. Heather Knight is blessed with a lot of options for bowlers in the power play. We've seen Charlie Dean do it, we've seen Sophie Eccleston now come into the attack as well, Bell, but we often see that the 6th over is the most important in the power play. Whether she'll save Catherine for that, we'll see.
Number 1 ranked bowler in the world, Sophie Eccleston, in the attack. First ball is dabbed in defence to short mid-wicket. There's no run. She's got 8 wickets in this tournament so far, 1 behind the leading wicket taker, Megan Shute, which surprised many of us, really. Thought this might be a spin bowlers tournament. It has been. Wickets have been spread around. Down the wicket comes Brits, and then Yorks herself, and can only dig the ball out to short mid-wicket. And now questions are being asked of South Africa, because they're 9 without loss in the 4th over, and they've got the best bowler in the world coming on. And they've only got another 16 balls in the power play. They've got to try and get a wriggle on here while the field is up.
Well, this is good from Eccleston. She's bringing cover up and pushing mid-on back to long on. Brits is only really looking to target that area.
She's in for those 2 or 3 paces and goes for a big sweep out through deep mid-wicket, and fielder out there at deep square leg, Nat Siver-Brunt, went the wrong way. She was going to her right. I don't think she would have cut it off if she'd gone the right way, to be honest with you, because that was a terrifically executed sweep along the ground through straight mid-wicket, taken from outside the off stump. And Tasneem Brits gets a much-needed boundary for South Africa, 13 without loss.
That is quite remarkable. She's selfing completely the wrong direction.
Eccleston in again, and beaten on the outside edge, pushing at that. Interested to see how much that turned. Amy Jones is slightly in our way, but we need to keep an eye on the monitors here, because that was given a lot of flight, and it's turned a bit. That has turned a bit. Malaba will be licking her lips, as will Eccleston. She's in again, down the wicket. Here comes Brits, and it's this firmly down the ground. It will be cut off. Obviously, as straight as you can get, and for a shot of such quality to only yield 1 run, be a bit disappointing for her. Catherine Siver-Brunt on the boundary doing the duties. And now change of field for Wolvaart. Catherine Siver-Brunt comes up to mid-on, and the cover goes out because Wolfaart's a bit more likely to access the offside, is she not? I guess less likely to pump you back over your head. This is driven into the covers, but can't beat Danny Wyatt at cover point. And there's no run, so 5 off that over. Not bad, but 14 without loss off 4. They've only got 2 overs of power play left. Who is Heather Knight going to turn to? Will it be that Siver-Brunt? Will it be the spin of Charlie Dean? We've seen her bowl in the power play.
It is. It looks like Charlie Dean now. Just taking her cap off.
Do you think that's a bit formulaic? I was just thinking, Catherine's in a good rhythm at the moment.
Well, I think these 2 batters would rather face the spin, especially Tasneem Brits, who is the aggressor. I think that she would much rather face spin, but I mean, Charlie Dean's bowled so well this tournament, there's absolutely no reason Heather Knight doesn't throw her the ball. And I suppose if she's seen a bit of turn at the far end from Sophie Eccleston, then absolutely Charlie Dean is a big turner of the ball, and she's a fantastic bowler in the power play.
Just spotted that the oldest person in the team, Catherine Siver-Brunt, has just gone from long on to long on. That's the role normally reserved for the eager junior. Dean mid-wicket is out. Those are 2 boundary riders, 5 in the ring on the offside. No slip. As Dean's first ball hits pad I think, but there was no shot played. So what's happening here? They've run through for once. It's gone fine. I don't think they should refer this. There's no way it was hitting the stumps. Waiting to see umpire signal, and I'm baffled here. The no shot was offered there. Whoa, no, a leg bye's been given.
No shots offered there, surely. She's just tried to...
That's no shot.
There's
no shot offered at all.
And that's what they're saying, yeah. Danny Wyatt telling Jacqueline Williams how to do the umpiring. Oh, dear.
Oh, well, they're having a word with
That's
clarification, trying to understand how having your back way away from the ball and not moving it counts as playing a shot.
Poor call for me from Jacqueline Williams.
OK, so next tip is clipped through backward square leg. It's going to bring a couple of runs to Wolfhart. A couple of runs that she shouldn't have been facing that ball. First ball should have been a dot ball. And, yes, there have been some slightly ropey calls in this World Cup. No point in sugaring the pill. And that was
one of them.
That was diabolical. That was absolutely diabolical. I mean, she left the ball, it bounced off her body, and they went through for a single that was given. As this next ball is pulled down through deep backward square. No timing, but it's a very fast outfield. Fielder chases after it. Lauren Bell gets there, flings back. They've come through for 3. Henry Moran's in the back of the box looking as perplexed as I think I am and everybody in the ground is, because the laws of cricket have been rewritten overnight without anyone giving us the memo. 20 without loss.
I've seen that a few times this tournament, haven't we?
You have a bit, yeah.
Doesn't bode well, really. We need the best umpires out there.
I think I might call her Jackie Wilson. I'm sorry. That's the 1980s all over again. Dean, that was a short ball which is pushed up towards long on for a single. In fairness, it wasn't a great ball, and it hasn't been a great over so far from Dean. A bit too short, and too leg-sidey at the moment. But 7 runs have come from it. 21 without loss. 2 balls remain in the 5th over. After that, just 1 more over of power play. And then Heather Knight can spread her field. Wolfhart on strike. The claps ring round the ground. This is driven high in the air. That's going to go all the way for 6. A mighty shot from Wolfhart. Didn't sound perfect off the bat, but it was very full and very wide of off stump. And this over is a very profitable one for South Africa. They were in all sorts of doldrums, really, at 14 without loss after 4. And Charlie Dean in this over has been the victim of an injustice off the first ball, and after that not really covered herself in glory with the ball. 27 without loss, that towering 6 over wide long off. Next ball dabbed into the onside, and Dean scrambles to save it, can't. It runs up to long on. Catherine Sivabrunt tidies up, so 14 off the over. Score doubled in 1 over. 5 gone, 28 without loss. Wolfhart 16, Brits 9 off 15. Georgia Elwys, good start from England, but that over has really brought South Africa back into it. Then it will be Henry Moran.
Yeah, a little bit off from Dean in that over. She had the first ball, the injustice, and then just couldn't get her length right. Overcompensated, and Wolfhart plays a lovely shot over extra cover. So a little bit of momentum building for South Africa after a quiet start, and England won't be too displeased. I think if they can rein it back in this over, and then they're allowed to spread their field and everything sort of calms down.
Well, it does. The power play is the time when you expect to see a few more boundaries, of course, with those fielding restrictions. Yeah, she didn't quite get it right there. Charlie Dean, who has played in the World Cup final last year in New Zealand against Australia in the 50-over format. Here comes Lauren Bell. And Wolfhart defends right on the money with the keeper standing up to the stumps. England hoping it'll be 2 finals in 2 years. The long way to go before that. 28 without loss in the sunshine.
So funny looking Lauren Bell.
Oh, he's not Siva. Well spotted. I even got that wrong. Siva Brunt, 28 without loss. Siva Brunt bowls to Wolfhart, whips the ball into the leg side. And a single is taken.
I thought you were testing me then.
No. No. My incompetence is real. Fear not. 29 without loss. So, around the ground, there's good noise actually. There's not packed stands as we've seen in some of the evening games, even ones without South Africa involved, actually. Nat Sciver-Brunt bowling, it's down the leg side, and Jones gets a glove on it to prevent it whistling away for 5 wides, but it will be the wide and then the extra run that's been scrambled. England just losing a little bit of their consistency here. We've seen 3 wides in the innings now. Need to just make sure they keep composed. That's what we saw from Australia. That's almost what won Australia the game yesterday, was just keeping calm. In comes Nat Sciver-Brunt, giving herself some room as Wolfart, whipping the ball out towards Danny Wyatt at deep mid-wicket. Every run being applauded by this South African crowd. At the moment, England have got a handle on the run scoring. We've only seen 3 boundaries, but they've got to be aware of the fact that a big platform for South Africa could see that run rate really accelerating. Nat Sciver-Brunt with a very straight approach runs in towards us. This is pulled away. Nice looking shot for 4. Brits got hold of that. Short ball from Sciver-Brunt, swatted down upon by Brits, who historically hasn't always been that good against the short ball, but she played that superbly well to the left of the fine leg fielder.
Yeah, she did, and I think that just signals there's not a huge amount of pace in this wicket, is there? We saw a little bit slow on the shorter balls yesterday, and Brits has been able to have time to play that quite nicely.
8 from the over so far. 2 balls left of it. Conversation taking place between Heather Knight and Nat Sciver-Brunt. A few hands on hips from England fielders who, at this stage, won't be feeling overly concerned, but they do need to just keep calm. Brits has got 13 from 16. Tends to be the way. Starts quite slowly. Packed offside field inside the circle as Brits is cramped for room. Clips the ball towards mid-on and gets a single. 1 ball left of the power play. It's 37 without loss.
It's strange, isn't it? Because she starts quite slowly, but I'm not sure that's her role. Me and Dan were talking about how she's supposed to be going out there and taking the pressure off Wolfart, but she's struggled so far through this tournament.
Nat Sciver-Brunt in to conclude the over and the power play. It's chopped into the ground by Wolfart. It's stopped by the bowler. And so 9 from the over, and the power play yields 37 runs for the loss of no wickets. And I think South Africa will probably be pretty happy with where they are at the moment. England would have liked a wicket or 2, but equally won't feel the game's got away from them.
Yeah, it's just the last 2 overs of the power play. England let themselves down a little bit, and South Africa won't be too displeased with the start, obviously getting through the power play non-down. But I think England overall will be the happier of the 2 sides.
Do you think?
Yeah, I don't think they'll feel like South Africa have got away by any means, and this is the period where they're really good, England. Sarah Glenn comes on, she's been bowling really well throughout this tournament, and they just know through this middle period their plans, they execute them well, and I think it's a real strength of England so far this tournament is how well they bowl through the middle.
Jacqueline Williams in the pink of the umpire's uniform wheels her arms around and tells us that we're out of the power play, and Sarah Glenn is going to join the action with her leg spin. Long sleeves over the wicket, bowling a ball that beats the flashing blade of Tasmin Brits and skids on through. Doesn't turn it a huge amount, but what she does do is get that really useful skid off the surface. She moves in again with the blonde hair. That's a little bit more leg side, and we'll work towards Nat Sciver-Brunt at deep mid-wicket. So 1 from the over so far. England have spread the field as they can now do, so fielders on the boundary at deep cover, long off, long on, deep mid-wicket. So whether Wolfart will be tempted to try and find an angle down towards a vacant fine leg, and there is actually no short fine leg either, so there is space there. She can step across the stumps. In comes Glenn, driven back to her. Good fielding from the England bowler, who moves sharply to her left. Gets applause from Amy Jones behind the stumps. 1 from the over so far. 38 without loss. Glenn bowling to Wolfart on 18. In now, and smashed through the offside. Good looking shot. There's a chase on in the deep for Danny Wyatt, but the ball's going to get to the boundary first. Wolvie, you legend, says a sign in the crowd. She's a star of this South African side, and she played that beautifully, created the room, and this quick outfield really assisted as the ball whistled to the fence.
Yeah, just a little bit too short, wasn't it, from Sarah Glenn? And Player of Laura Wolvart's class doesn't miss out there.
5 from the over so far. Wolfart again targets that part of the ground, but this time only finds Capsey, whose throw is aggressive to say the least. It's Charlie Dean, actually, who forced Amy Jones into a dive she would rather probably not have had to go for. 42 without loss. Glenn creeping in to conclude the over. And that's a ball which scuttles on again, but will be collected before it reaches the boundary. 2 taken. The crowd liked the intent from the running as well, so 7 from the over. And South Africa 44 without loss after 7. Georgia Ellis, thank you to you for the time being. And for Dos Munda, cricket writer from here in South Africa, is going to join me once again. Right then, for Dos, you said you had a feeling. How are you feeling after those 7 first overs?
I think it's gone a little bit better than expected, most importantly because this opening pair that won the game against Bangladesh are still together. I'm not sure that they're going quickly enough. England have been striking at 8.84 in this tournament, so you'd think you need at least 170. And I don't know. I think so. I just think they can get there so quickly. They've got such great hitters of the ball. They're so good against spin. And South Africa's main weapons will be Nonkululeko Malaba, Chloe Tryon.
Here comes Eccleston around the wicket and into the leg side it goes for a single. It'll only be a single. 44 without loss becomes 45 without loss early in the 8th over. The one stat that concerned me from an England point of view a little bit was that Nat Sciver-Brunt, who has been best batter in this tournament in her T20 career, has got out 3 times apiece to Ishmael and Cap, and so she does have a slightly more challenging relationship with those two. As in comes Eccleston round the wicket, forward comes Wolfart and manages to find the gap down towards wide long off, the crowd roaring every run that's scored. Eccleston into her 2nd over.
Yeah, and there are a few more of them in there than there were about half an hour ago, so it's definitely filling up. I've got some messages from locals saying we're coming in, we're hoping to be there by 5-ish. So as you say, they're coming to watch South Africa in the field.
Eccleston holding that ball in front of her and then coming into bowl to Brits, who clubbed the ball down the ground for 1. Eccleston with the hands in the air in frustration, feeling like she wasn't far from getting through. I think England will be fine with singles being taken. 6 and over doesn't bother them really.
No, they'll knock that off, and they know they've got everything they need to be able to get a score like that.
Wolfart on strike. Is driving. Good looking shot down the ground, but there is a fielder out there in the deep, Catherine Sciver-Brunt, who patrols so well at long on. And a brilliant sofa's the cry from Amy Jones. 48 without loss. 2 balls left of the 8th over. South Africa winning the toss, batting first. Claire Polosak signals that Sophie Eccleston is ready to go once again. Brits just dropping the ball into the leg side, and Eccleston runs over to collect off her own bowling. She's not the quickest, but she gets there in time. 49 without loss. There's some lively fashion in the crowd today for this. We're seeing plenty on the big screen.
Some cool looking sunglasses. It's going to be bright because this match will end just as the sun is setting.
A gentleman shown with the sort of 1990s kind of fly sunglasses.
Very on trend these days.
Final ball of the 8th over sees Wolfart driving into the ground, and they'll get 1, possibly 2 here. Turning for a second, little bit of a slow set off, and in the end the throw in from Dunkley prevents that 2nd run. So 50 up, and the crowd like that. 50 without loss after 8 overs, and Brits and Wolfart will come together to punch gloves and just reset a little bit. England still looking for that first breakthrough. The 50 partnership coming from 48 balls, so it's not express, but it is a very good platform.
That's going to be South Africa's challenge, because Marizanne Kapp hasn't really come off at number 3 in this tournament. So if or when one of these two is dismissed, I like that I said if or when actually, there'll be a lot riding on Marizanne Kapp. I would be tempted actually to send a Chloe Tryon in a little bit earlier.
Just put the bowlers under pressure.
Yeah, and give her more time in the middle, because she's the one that's been finding the boundaries, and that's what South Africa need.
Indeed. Over to our left, we've got the grass bank with the green, orange and blue bean bags that Daniel went and had a go at sitting on yesterday.
Are they comfortable?
Very comfortable. He struggled a little bit to get up.
Yeah, because once you sink
Once you're
into
in.
one of those, you might need someone to help haul you out of it.
He did, and that someone was me. Here comes Nat Sciver-Brunt then, start of her second over. This is nicely struck, whipped away over mid-wicket, and for 4, Wolfhard picking the length, hitting the spot, and finding 4 runs, 54 without loss. That's a good shot at the start of the over.
Yeah, Laura Wolfhard, the last 2 innings has been a batter transformed, I think. You can see she's confident, she's meeting the ball with the middle of the bat, and she's also finding some runs on the onside, so she loves the cover drive, as we all know. And she's been really tentative in her T20 innings. She's had to do a lot of work to get her scoring rate up. Suneli said in the lead up to this match that Laura was so disappointed with the first 4 games, she was contemplating her whole career.
Here comes Sciver-Brunt. It's nicely struck and well stopped at backward point. They will get through for 1 though. Alice Capsey, or that was Charlie Dean, isn't it there? Swap things around a little bit in this tournament of England. Capsey's been there a fair amount. She's at mid-wicket now, with Nat Sciver-Brunt having primarily been there historically, and now much of this tournament she's been out on the boundary, so England have moved things around a little bit. It's Sciver-Brunt with the ball in hand now, running into bowl 2 Brits, who clips the ball defensively towards Capsey, running in across those used pitches. And there is no run, 55 without loss, midway through the 9th.
This surface is not nearly as tired as some of the others have been. I thought yesterday's for the semi-final between Australia and India was actually quite good.
Yeah, same pitch as this. So it's a day older, but it's still playing nicely. Short, pulled away. Oh, they've got unlucky there because the umpire's taken that on the shin, and that would have been 4 runs, unquestionably.
Ouch.
I mean, first of all, I hope Claire Polisak's okay, because that would have hurt. And I think South Africa will feel a little frustrated. She's clearly,
She's having a giggle.
she is laughing, but she would have, no doubt, rather that ball hadn't struck her in the... Whoa, it's right in the shin. Ow. In comes Sciver-Brunt. Oh, that one has jagged in towards the right-hander and been hammered out to the leg side for 1 more run. So the over so far, bringing 7 with 1 ball left of it.
And it's better from South Africa because they don't have a lot of overs with these many runs. They tend to go at 5s and 6s, really.
Brits on strike, onto the pads. They'll get through for a leg bye if they're quick. Lauren Bell it is. A fine leg throw comes in, hits Brits at the non-striker's end, and that'll be 8 from the over. That's the benefit, of course, of the boundary at the start of it, is you just give such impetus to the over and immediately put the pressure on the bowling side. 58 without loss, 9 overs gone here in Cape Town.
Yeah, I think the challenge will come for South Africa in the next 4 to 5 overs because they're actually not used to having a very good platform to build on. They're used to having to sort of recover from a couple of early losses, and Tasman Brits has been responsible for a lot of those. So now it's about when does one of these batters decide, I'm just going to go for it, because if we want to get 160 plus, it's probably nowish that you want to see big runs being scored.
Well, Sarah Glenn has the ball in hand. She's bowling 2 Brits, who does go hard at the first ball of the over, and Danny Wyatt scampering round will pick up and fields brilliantly in the deep to prevent the second run. And yesterday, that was almost exactly at this point yesterday. It was where we were seeing misfield from India, the margin in the end against Australia, 5 runs. And they just done 1 bit of fielding like that for one that sneaked on through.
Yeah, I mean, they dropped 2 fairly simple catches, and their outfielding wasn't good, and I think they know it. Australia's, on the other hand, Elise Perry saved that boundary, which pretty much won the game, didn't it?
Yeah. 59 without loss. Sarah Glenn with her leg spin, bowling to Wolfhard, driving into the offside, and Heather Knight dives over the ball and slaps the ground in frustration. There have been a few where England haven't quite been on it today, that have just snuck through and allowed the single.
And it's unusual from them. I didn't think I'd see them. I think I've seen 2 since I've been sat in this chair.
Glenn to Brits, who dances down the track, hits the ball back over the bowler's head, down the ground, on 1 bounce 4. That's a good looking shot. It's 64 without loss.
The Tasman Brits, I think, can really use this next part of the innings to come into her own. I like how she had advanced down the track there. She's showing some intent, and she hasn't shown that through a lot of her career. She's actually got a really strong bottom hand as well. Remember, she came up as a javelin thrower who was due to be at the 2012 Summer Olympics, and then unfortunately had a car accident. and never made it there. But she's got the 5 rings tattooed on one of her arms.
Sarah Glenn bowling to Brits, who checks the drive and clips the ball out towards Siva Brunt at deep mid-wicket. So already 7 from this over with 2 balls left, and South Africa beginning to move through the gears a bit. Laura Wolfart, I should say, is on 999 T20 career runs in the internationals. And she'll get her 1000th there, clipping the ball into the leg side for the easiest single you could wish for. And that will be displayed to the crowd in a moment, I've no doubt. And she'll get the acclaim from a passionate South African crowd who sense that there could be, well, potentially something quite special in the offing here. Glenn, bowling to Brits, drives down the ground authoritatively and gets a single. So 9 from that over. We're at the halfway point in the innings, and I would say South Africa on top here. England have yet to find a breakthrough. Current run rate would take South Africa to 134, but with the wickets in hand, they have to be looking far and away ahead of that for those.
Yeah, definitely. They need more than double here. They need more than 134. They should be aiming for 160. That would be another 93 runs from the rest of the innings. It's possible. India were 93 for 3 after 10 overs yesterday, so we do know that there are runs to be had, and there are big hitters to come. They've got Chloe Tryon, Marizan Kapp, who we've spoken about as not coming off. I'm pretty happy with where South Africa are. I think the crowd are pretty happy with where South Africa are. But I think with this England side, you just don't know what enough is.
Indeed, and we will find out right then. What will those conversations be, do you think, from the England fielders as they're having drinks out in the middle? And after some more from you, for us, it'll be Daniel Norcross.
Yeah, I wonder whether England are happy to
Well, what a thrilling game we have got on here. England have been set 165. There was a time when it looked like it could be more than that. There was a time when it should have been much less than that. But Catherine Sciver-Brunt, who bowled 2 splendid overs at the top, was then taken out of the attack when she might have bowled the 5th over of the innings. A 5th over of the innings that changed everything. Charlie Dean came on, went for 14. Suddenly, South Africa got real pace into their batting. And then when KSB came back at the end, he was slapped around 18 off the last over. Has meant that where South Africa could have ended up, actually, after a flurry of wickets thanks to Sophie Ecclestone setting England just about 155, 156, it's 165, and there may be some jitters and despondency in the camp. But for those of you who are of a more optimistic disposition, let me remind you that it was about 14 weeks ago that India had a big flurry of late runs. Hardik Pandya helped India score 100 in their last 10 overs, and they walked off thoroughly delighted with 168. England made 170 for none in 16 overs and walked it. So you never know. Cricket's a strange game. Things are very difficult to predict. It's a decent pitch. It's a beautiful sunny day, and England's batters have been the fastest scoring batting unit of this World Cup. But it's a semi-final, and chasing to get into the final, a match that you're expecting to win, could be tricky. WinViz, and South Africa's a favourite, says 64%, England 36%. Danny Wyatt and Sophia Dunkley are out in the middle. Georgia Elwis is alongside me. Nervous?
Yeah, I am actually.
God, well, I was expecting nothing less. Malaba is going to bowl the first ball, tucked into the onside by Wyatt. Won't be a single, as Malaba is swiftly moving to her right to field with her right hand. There's no run. Malaba's one of the premier bowlers in T20. Just bowls off 2 or 3 paces, slow left arm from the Kelvin Grove end, and Wyatt's gone for this and swept it up and over short fine leg. It's running away towards the boundary. Fielders are after it. Should pull it back. No! Marizanne Kapp couldn't make it. And I tell you, the noise that greeted the fours of hit off Catherine Brunt, well, they're very absent from the cheer. No cheers there for that 4 for Danny Wyatt. She's up and running, just scooping it over short fine leg. Didn't really time it, but got enough on it. This very rapid outfield picks up 4. Malaba in again. Wyatt waits and just pushes in defence to a packed offside field. There is no run there, even though they thought of it. So Georgia, 165, feels like a large target.
Yeah, it's doable.
Malaba in. Down the leg side and wide, and it's not been taken. It's running away towards the boundary and it will get there. 5 wides, not the start that Malaba wanted. Just lost her line. And keeper Sanala Jafta couldn't get anything on it.
Well, that certainly helps, doesn't it? You can see what Malaba's trying to do. The field that she's got, she can't give Danny Wyatt an inch of width. She's trying to tuck her up for room, hence why the previous 4 as well. She's just straying down the leg side.
Malaba in. That's defended by Wyatt. They go through for a quick single, and that's really well run. It's direct hit. Now then, is this tighter than I initially thought? I thought Dunkley was home, but the underarm direct hit will make this tight. Dunkley isn't the most natural runner.
No, I think she's okay. South African fielders aren't too interested, and Dunkley the kind who dives if she needs. Yeah, comfortably home.
Do you know what she does there, Georgia? The angle of her bat as she runs. Somewhat different, wouldn't you say, from the Indian skipper Harmanpreet yesterday, who was very agitated and upset with the immovable ground. But if you address it with a virtually vertical bat, it's more likely to stick, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Whereas Dunkley's was horizontal, as this is down the leg side and swept, but won't beat short fine leg, and if she'd left that, it would have been a wide.
There's a gift really from Malaba. She'll feel she's missed out rather there, Dunkley, but
It's a first ball.
yeah, it's a first ball. We'll let her off. I'm harsh on her.
You are. 5 in the ring on the offside. Dunkley drives down the ground to long on, gets her first run. Tryon will do the fielding. End of the over, a profitable one for England. 11 from it. South Africa, they were 14 from the first 4 overs, as I said, but then they really got motoring. They had 150 off the last 15, off the last 16, I beg your pardon. But England have to keep the tempo up, won't they? They'll have to use this power play.
Yeah, I don't think they'll be too worried. We're pretty calm and relaxed before playing. They knew that this was a good wicket, a good outfield, and 160 probably is more than they would have wanted South Africa to get, of course. But we've seen Australia score the same amount yesterday, and India almost chase it down. So I think it's probably a par score, to be honest, on this outfield. It's just that everything that comes with the game, the semi-final pressure, South Africa's bowling is probably their strongest suit as well. So England will have to navigate Ishmael, they have to navigate Cap and play well, but I think there's plenty of runs out there.
Well, yesterday Australia made 172 and they got there thanks to a couple of gifts right at the end. It should probably have been about 165, and India, well, there were 167 at the end. So these are all the ballparks. The scores are all very similar, aren't they? It is going to be Shabnim, call me Ishmael, who's running in from the Weinberg end. 4 in the ring on the offside, the slip in place. She comes into the crouching Dugdee, down the leg side, strikes the pad of absolutely surely futile appeal. The ball must be going way down the leg side, and it goes up the onside, is picked up, and there's no run. Tasman Brits tidies up. There have been a lot of very hopeful appeals for balls going down the leg side. I think that partly, because some of the umpires have given them out.
Yeah, and there's that thing as a bowler, you want to. Oh goodness, that's not got a lot going for it, that appeal. But sometimes as a bowler, you want to create chaos, so you go for a big appeal. The fielders go up with you, and really, there's no chance of it being given out. But it's just the drama, the theatre of it.
Deep in her creases, Dunkley for the speedy Ishmael. And she drives at this, and it's gone through the fielder, and it's going to be 4. That's horrible fielding. I think it's Ibonga Kaka up there at mid-on. It wasn't a great shot from Dunkley, it was a heave. She got enough on it, it has to be said. It didn't sound great off the bat, but it was in the air for a while, and then it bounced, and then it's just come off a bit of body and been deflected to the boundary.
I think it's got quicker after it's come off her knee, actually.
Yeah, it's a ping, like hitting the cushion of a snooker table.
Yeah, not the start Ibonga Kaka would have wanted, and actually Sophia Dunkley's been caught on the ring a number of times this World Cup, so let's watch that space.
Ishmael's into her. She drives beautifully straight. They're going through for a single. Good piece of fielding at mid-off by the captain Sunelis. Diving to her right, stops what would otherwise have been a boundary. It was a crisp shot past the bowler. The offside of straight 16 without loss, England.
Beautiful from Dunkley. She's really up for this. I was talking to her and Wyatt before the play today, and they were very relaxed, loving life. And actually, it was quite evident that the message from John Lewis is being drummed home, that he wants them to go out and be aggressive, and they're not going to change the way they play no matter how many low scores they get.
Ishmael into Wyatt, who cuts and misses, one that goes through to the keeper. There's no run. Yeah, I mean, you've got to grab these opportunities when they come. It's how often are you going to be in a World Cup semi-final against a host nation at an iconic ground like Newlands with really good crowd in, lots of noise. The lot of the cricketer is not always that, is it?
It's a cruel game sometimes, isn't it? As we well know, but we love it anyway.
We do love it. There's Ishmael. He's in once more. That's a bouncer, and tell you what, it's swayed out of the way. Sala Jaffer's dropped the ball. It's run down to the boundary for 4. I wait to see what signal buys. Just double checking. It's been one of those days. Seen a leg bye I never thought I'd see. That was a hostile ball, really hostile, and it was around about throat height. And Wyatt flung to the floor, and it's wonderful when you see that in women's cricket. It doesn't happen as much as I would like, which makes me sound like a terrible sadist. But
well, it swung a long way after it went past Wyatt, which is why I think Jafta found it difficult to take, but it should have been taken all the same.
Ishmael in to complete the over, and that's just chopped down to a deep third. Marizan Cap will do the fielding. 1 off the last ball of the over. 10 runs from the over, 4 of those were byes. And England had got off to a racing start. 21 without loss. They started needing 8 1/4 runs and over. Well, they've knocked the quarter off. It's now 8.
Yeah, and it's the start that they would have been looking for, England. I'm sure there would have been some nervous, frustrated, angry people walking off that field after that bowling innings. And it's quite nice, actually, to have 2 people at the top of the order who haven't really faced, those blows in the field. They haven't had to bowl. They've just been there probably building themselves up for 20 overs about how much they want to bat on this wicket, so they don't have any scars from being hit into the crowd today, these two.
Yep.
And they can just come out there and go, don't worry guys, we've got this.
That's a nice feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a nice feeling.
There was a bit of that, wasn't there, yesterday from India's batters, actually, with Jamima Rodriguez and Harmanpreet. It was exactly that. Neither of them had bowled. It's like, oh, for heaven's sake, come on, not that hard. Anyway, there's been plenty of action, plenty of sixes, fours. Check them out with the in-play clips and highlights on the BBC Sport website and app, as Marizanne Kapp is into the attack for the first time and is flicked into the onside and throw at the wrong end. Well, Dunkley went instinctively for the run that wasn't there because the ball was hit firmly by Wyatt straight to mid-wicket where Tasmin Brits was fielding. She picked up the ball cleanly and Dunkley was halfway down, but the throw came at the keeper's end. Wyatt hadn't moved. Dunkley would have been out.
Yeah, just seeing some signs, aren't we, in the field that South Africa aren't completely confident. Misfield, we've had 5 wides, we've had 4 byes. There could have been a run-out chance, but fielder throws the wrong end.
A slight adjustment to the field here as deep third goes finer. There's a long leg in place as well for Kapp. She's in and Wyatt drives up and over for 4. At least I think, no, it won't be 4. I beg your pardon, I think it's about to be scooped back in. It is, brilliantly, by Shabnim Ismail. That is a very dramatic piece of fielding. Wyatt didn't get as much of it as I initially thought. She got it up and over the infield, and then Shabnim Ismail said, I'm not giving you that. Chased after it, and about 3 inches inside the boundary.
Oh, she's done brilliantly there.
Oh. And then she scooped back with the right hand and then dived over the top. I would argue, if I was being rather picky, that area where the sponge is has been slightly moved. Would have been a bit interesting had it been a perfect circle, but terrific fielding from Ismail nonetheless. They're just checking the boot actually now. Then are they checking to make sure, because you get a bit of, you can see the colour where the sponge was before.
Yeah, no, you're right about that.
And 4's been signalled. Not because I hasten to add that Ishmael's hand was touching the sponge, or indeed that the ball was touching the sponge, but the ball was where the sponge had been.
Yeah. And
you can see from the colour of the grass. This Kapp is into Wyatt, who chops to backward point, and there's no run. So I was right the first time.
Yeah, don't doubt yourself. You've doubted yourself a few times today. The laws of cricket have just baffled us, but we are right.
Back yourself, Dan. Back yourself.
Yeah, I didn't spot that. It was very good from you.
It's just a tiny,
I wonder if someone's going to go and adjust them now and put them back where they should be.
I'd like to hope so. As Kapp is in and Wyatt struck on the pad, the ball going down the leg side, stifled appeal, ball rolls out the offside. There's no running. The 25 without loss in pursuit of 165 to book their place in the final on Sunday. Whoever wins, it's going to be a great occasion. Either you back home will be able to listen to us on 5 Sports Extra describing England against Australia, the oldest of clashes, unless you count Canada against the United States, but I don't. Or it'll be the hosts. As Kapp is in and Wyatt digs out a very full ball. She's going through for a quick single, shy at the stumps, misses. 1 more to the total, 26 without loss. And have you spotted an umpire coming round to do the
repair work?
Yeah.
Gosh, you've got lots of jobs as an umpire, haven't you? I didn't know that fixing the boundary rope was one of them. Well, it's about there where she is now, and she just keeps walking past it, so maybe she's not.
Yes.
I don't know what's going on.
I don't know what's going on there. The primary law of the umpire, though, is to know the laws of the game. And
correct. We haven't had that today, have we?
I remain somewhat irked. This Kapp is into Dunkley. Full toss, thick edge, just going to run down to the boundary for 4. Wasn't where she intended, but actually, just like to see the replay, she might just have opened the face a little bit. It was wide and full and taken on the full, so 9 runs in that over. And the openers have now got that rate below 8 and over. At South Africa at the same stage with 9 without loss, England are 30 without loss, so just the start that they wanted. There's a long, long way to go, though. Wyatt 11 from 12, Dunkley 10 from 6. And if you head to the BBC Sport website and app, you can indulge in the great writings of Matt Henry. He's on the tools today. He's doing the scribbling for us. There's the TMS podcast featuring Stephen Finn, among others, talking about The overnight action from New Zealand, where Harry Brook and Joe Root both struck centuries as Bazball continues to flourish. England closing on 315 for 3 after being 21 for 3 at one point. I watched all of that. I put it on Twitter. I said, declare, when they were on 40. Just bowl on it now. I mean, obviously I was in jest, but you never know with Bazball. Right, Ayabonga Kaka is replacing Shabnim Ishwell. So it's a fourth different bowler in 4 overs. Wide outside the off stump, chopped down by Danny White, a shot we see so often from her. She gets a single down to deep third. She loves to play that shot. She's late. Seems to play it without risk. 31 without loss.
It's a little dab, isn't it? And it's good for these two bat well together. Danny White also loves a little knock into the offside where there shouldn't be one, but because Sophia Dunkley knows that she wants one, they go, and they very often get there because they're both very quick. So it's interesting when you get an opening partnership who bat well together, who know where the scoring options are.
Okay, into Dunkley, who advances and chops and misses through to the keeper who's standing up. Now then, we've got a different field for Dunkley because her shot isn't necessarily the chop through deep third. We have a long on and a deep mid-wicket, then 5 in the ring on the offside, from short third to point to cover, extra mid-off. Short fine leg, square leg, so lots of space in front of square on the onside. Let's see where Ayabonga Kaka puts this one. She's in, right arm over. Dunkley gets a thick edge again. She's going to pick up 4. Couple of fortunate boundaries for Dunkley. She punches gloves with Danny Wyatt. She'll be happy enough with that, though. 35 without loss. She moves to 14.
Certainly not where she meant it, was it? But she's given herself room. She's gone for a big swing because she's got such quick wrists. She gets enough on it, races away to the boundary, and fortune favours the brave.
It does. It does. And you've got to be brave in the semi-final. Kaka into Dunkley, and Dunkley chops at this, but she can't beat Wolfhard at point. But they will run through for a single, shy at the stumps, misses at the non-striker's end. A little fumble from Wolfhard. The ball did come to her on second bounce. It wasn't at the worst, most awkward height, but everyone's just got a bit of jitters out there at the moment.
It's good awareness as well from Wyatt. He's very quick. As soon as there was any semblance of a fumble, she called Dunkley through.
Wyatt back on strike, 36 without loss. Kaka into, and she drives firmly, but she won't beat mid-off. Soon Elise does the fielding, there's no run.
Good start from these two. And I think too reckless. Just playing good shots. It's a good pitch. They're making use of this power play. It's the 2 fielders outside the ring.
Last ball of the 4th over. Kaka in, and Wyatt smashes this past a diving Wolfhard down to the boundary for 4. That was in the air at catchable height, but Wolfhard had to dive a long way to her right. I don't know if she might have got a little finger on it because the ball didn't go as quickly to the boundary as it went off the bat, if you know what I mean. But it's 10 more off that over. England 40 without loss, South Africa 14 at the same stage. This was the point at which South Africa just started to get going, so England have got themselves a bit of wiggle room. 26 runs ahead. Wyatt 16 off 15. Dunkley 15 off 9. We've had 6 boundaries already. A couple of them quite fortuitous, it must be said.
I'm happy so far.
You're looking happy.
Start from England.
You know what you do? You know what you're doing? You're nodding like a happy Rolf, the piano-playing Muppet.
I don't know who that is.
Did you ever watch the Muppet Show?
Well, maybe as a kid, but...
So you know the dog that used to play the piano?
No.
No?
Shall I Google it?
Yeah, Google Rolf. He was a lovely character. Malaba back into the attack. The first ball she bowls is just pushed square of the wicket in the offside by Dunkley. These are dangerous moments, so we've seen certainly 3 of South Africa's premier bowlers. You'd say Malaba, Ismail and Cap. And Malaba's back in the attack inside the power play. Dunkley comes down the wicket and lofts over mid-off. It's going to bounce. Oh, is he going to bounce? I think he might have bounced just once, just inside the sponge. Umpire Jackie Williams signals the 4. Good use of the feet by Dunkley. Mid-on is back to long on, but mid-off is up. So she went aerial on the offside and got the boundary. 44 without loss.
Very good from Dunkley. Lovely check, drive, and probably the easier option of the two going down the ground if the ball is turning. So she won't mind this field.
Malaba in again. She's going to go again. Is driven firmly, and this time a beautiful shot for 4. That was in the air through where a straight mid-off would be, but there is no straight mid-off. And Malaba's been taken down for 2 boundaries here by Dunkley, and suddenly South African fielders are just biting their nails somewhat, because England are off to a flyer. They're 48 without loss halfway through the 5th.
Yeah, and I think the field is going to change now, because with Malaba turning the ball, it is easier to go over mid-off, and Dunkley's so strong through that area as well. So I think this is a good field change by Malaba. It means if Dunkley now wants to go down the ground, she's got to go across the line of the ball.
Malaba in, and so she does. She goes through mid-wicket. She thunders this towards the boundary fielder, won't get there. So a wide, long on, and Chloe try and say, well, if I'd been there, I would have been able to stop that. Thing is, Chloe, Dunkley would have gone over long off instead, because she went across her stumps and quite deliberately accessed the leg side instead. Very clever batting from Dunkley. 3 consecutive boundaries. She has 27 from 13 here, and England's 50 is up from just 28 balls at 52 without loss. Pressure on Malaba here. Dunkley goes across her stumps, and there's a stifled appeal for LBW. Might have been a bit of battle on that. There's no run.
Yeah, better length from Malaba. She's just pulled it back there. Tell Dunkley's trying to set herself to go strongly down the ground. Just held her length back there.
Long off, stays back. Did wickets back. Malaba, last ball over. Short, hideous, but it's gone up in the air. Fielder coming in for it, won't get there. Shabnim Ismail picks it up on the bounce. Bit of good fortune for Sophia Dunkley. She's had a bit. A couple of edges that have flown for 4, but 3 brilliant, authentic boundaries. England 53 without loss after 5. They're making a great start in pursuit of this high but not mammoth target of 165. Wyatt has 16 from 15. Dunkley 28 from 15. Thoughts on England start from Georgia Elvis, and then take you through the next 5 overs. It'll be Henry Moran.
Yeah, it's been really positive from England's batters, as we expected. They're going to come out here and be aggressive, but it's the way that they've done it. They've picked their bowling, they've played some good cricket shots, and they're making use of a good surface out there. 160 is a par score, and I think they've settled some nerves by how they've batted in these first 5 overs in that England dressing room.
Yep, the required rate is now down under 7.5 and over. England need 112 from 90 balls for a place in the World Cup final. That'll be on Sunday against Australia. We've got Shabnim Ismail, who I walked past the team hotel yesterday. She's not tall.
No, she's not that tall, actually. I think that's why her pace can sometimes surprise you, because she's so skiddy.
She's in now, bowling to Dunkley, who whips the ball in the air, straight to mid-wicket. England have lost their first. Dunkley gone for 28. She gave them a rocket-powered start to this innings, but she's fallen. And England 53 for 1.
Yeah, I just didn't get quite enough of it, Dunkley. She was fancying taking Ismail down. She's actually been caught quite a few times in this tournament on the ring at mid-on and mid-off, and here again a slower ball from Ismail. She's rolled her fingers over it, doesn't get all of it. Probably picks out the tallest fielder in the South African side, Tasmin Brits, at mid-wicket. But a good innings from Dunkley. She's done her job at the top of the order, 28 from just 16, and given England a really good start here.
So Dunkley goes. England lose their first, and Alice Capsey will come to the middle. With England in a good position, she gets a little pat on the back and a smile and a joke from Danny Wyatt, who's an experienced campaigner and will be happy just to ease the nerves of Capsey, who has shown brilliance in this tournament. That 50 she scored off 21 balls against Ireland was spectacular, but she hasn't quite reached those heights since then. What England need here is a settled, mature innings, the sort of innings that has been so regular from Capsey, someone that really belies her age. And she'll be on strike to Shabnim Ismail in the heat of the South African sun at a ground that is willing wickets to fall. And if she can just settle things down and keep the momentum going, then England will continue to be on target here. 53 for 1. 1 ball gone in the 6th over. The target 165. 2 fielders outside the circle are at deep third and fine leg. Grass bank packed over to our left as in comes Shabnim Ismail to bowl to the right-handed Alice Capsey. Ismail is in. Capsey plays watchfully, cautiously towards backward point. And you can hear the crowd. They're up and about now, Georgia.
They are. They needed that wicket, didn't they? South Africa and the crowd. And I had much to cheer about this power play. But they get right behind their team and it just lifts you. It gives you those goosebumps, gets that adrenaline flowing, and I'm sure Shabnam Ismail will be bowling a couple of miles an hour quicker now.
She's running in again, right arm over. Oh, that's a quick ball. It's in the air, it should be taken. Oh, sensational! Tasmin Brits to her right. That is a stunning catch at mid-wicket. 2 wickets in the over. Capsey goes without scoring.
That is some catch from Tasmin Brits. She played a fantastic innings with the bat. This is as special as you get. One-handed diving effort, just sticks. She's the tallest player in this South African side, and she needed every bit of that height to take that delivery. And Ismail is off, the crowd are up. A big wicket of Capsey. South Africa, everything has changed within the space of 3 balls here.
53 for 2. England, perhaps not rocking, but certainly it's a different game to what it was 5 minutes ago. Capsey goes, and she was just beaten for pace. It was too quick, too hostile, and too good from Ismail.
Yeah, it was. We said she'd be coming in a few miles an hour quicker with that crowd behind her, willing her on. Such a fantastic atmosphere out there. They desperate for South Africa to win this game, and I think Tasmin Brits has just gone off the field after taking that catch. So whether she's done some damage elbow, so quite nasty grass burn on her arm, whether she's just gone to get that sorted out. A brilliant catch. She's had a fantastic knock with the bat, and then 2 big catches in the field.
It was almost a sort of shot from Capsey. It was just swatted away, like, get off me, like a wasp coming in towards your head. Get out of the way. And Brits has done brilliantly. So the tournament's joint leading run scorer, along with Brits, is Nat Siva-Brunt. 176 and an average of 88. She has been absolutely brilliant. The question we asked is, if England lost early wickets, Georgia, and one of those was Nat Siva-Brunt, how would they react? She comes to join the action at 4. With England 53 for 2 midway through the 6th over. They're chasing 112 from 87 further balls. Full delivery, clipped towards mid-wicket. There won't be a run there, and Ismail is bowling at 75 miles an hour. She is probably the quickest in the women's game. And she's taken 2 wickets and bowled 2 dots in this over.
Oh, Nat Siva did a couple of interviews yesterday where she said she was going to relish the opportunity to play in front of a large crowd, and there were times when she couldn't hear Heather Knight from a couple of yards away, and she loves the big occasion. She's a very calm character.
Ismail running in, and Siva-Brunt pulls into the leg side. It beats the infield. It won't be 4, I don't think, because Kakar in pursuit is quick. She does just haul it in a couple of yards inside the boundary, but 2 runs are taken. And the crowd love that. And it lifts you as a team. And you know that every step you take is being roared on by those inside the ground. It lifts everything that you're doing. It's the only South African with more than 100 wickets in T20 International, Shabnam Ismail. She's got 120 of them from 112 matches. And she's at the end of her mark now. England 55 for 2, chasing 165. Siva-Brunt on strike. He is thinking about pulling, and in the end just about pulls out from the shot. Question of wide, but no is the answer from the umpire, and what an over that is. She's bowled 2 overs, 2 for 8. He gets a pat on the back from Sinelese. And England 55 for 2, an over that saw just 2 runs and the 2 wickets. This game swings back right into the balance.
Yeah, well, in these big games you need your big players to stand up, and Shabnam Ismail has been around the South African side for a while now. She leads their attack with Marizanne Kapp, and she is the energy. She's the quickest bowler, like you said, in the women's game, and she has just got this Newlands crowd up on their feet. They're right behind their team now. They sense this is a moment they can spur them on a little bit more after such a good start in the first 5 overs from England. And that wicket has rather got the South African crowd excited and back involved in the game.
So we're going to see Ayabonga Kakar again, who went for 10 from her first over. And she'll be bowling to Danny Wyatt from the Kelvin Grove end down below us. We're out of the power play now, so fielding restrictions ease. We've got deep cover, deep mid-wicket, fine leg, and deep third. So long on and long off are up. South Africa inviting Danny Wyatt to play a shot that she loves, lofting it over the covers, but lurking inside the circle for any sort of mistimed shot is the South African captain, Sine Lees. Here comes Ibonga Kaka, bowling to Wyatt, who is instead chopping the ball wide of deep third, but probably just for a single. Little bit of a fumble, yes is the cry, and they will run back for two. And this is what England will need to do if they're not finding the boundaries, which will be harder to come by in the out of the power play. Then find those twos where they're available. 57 for two, required rate 7.81.
Yeah, it's brilliant awareness actually to run the first one hard. You don't always see that, but this England side are super athletic.
Wyatt on strike, Kaka bowls again, just angling the ball down towards deep third. There's one more. The scoreboard moves forward, 58 for two.
Danny Wyatt's just been, I stood watching it all unfold at the non-strikers end. He's not had the strike for a little while, so it's good for her to bat with Natsua, somebody who's so calm under pressure. She's got such a good head on her shoulders, and she's not been in some bad form, has she?
Kaka, slight figure, runs in about a dozen or so paces, right arm over, and Siva Brunt with a violent swing across the line will pick up one towards Annika Bosch, Nadine de Klerk I should say, at deep mid-wicket. De Klerk, whose hat spends about as much time on the ground as it does on her head. It's a wide-brimmed hat, and as soon as she takes off, the wind catches it and off it goes. A little bit of a shift in the field. We've got fine leg going, well, it's quite wide, and then a square leg as well. So it's quite a big space down towards the fine leg boundary. Instead, it's hit in the air over the fielder at mid-on. It was not a million miles away from Chloe Tryon, but Danielle Wyatt gets a big enough piece of it to pick up 4 runs. Little punch of the gloves, a nerve-settling boundary. England 63 for 2.
Yeah, good from Wyatt. Didn't quite get all of it, just twisted in her hands, but that's her area, and I love that she's still going after the ball if it's in her area. Oh, it's good 2 metres above Chloe Tryon. You're making me nervous here.
I know, but from where we are, it looked like it might be a little bit closer, and it wasn't. You know, it's always good to keep us on the edge of our seats. Field changes, long on is now out. Wyatt waits for Kaka and plays the ball into the leg side with a delicate little shovel, as much as anything, to Zelmi Tucker, who's on the field.
It was a strange shot actually from Wyatt. Probably didn't quite know where Delmi Tucker was there. That square leg.
Brits is still off the field. That's why she's on Tucker. Here's Kaka to conclude the over, the 7th of the innings. England 63 for 2. Wyatt sees a delivery that's full, whipped away into the leg side. It goes out towards the boundary and away for 4. A valuable over for England. 12 coming from it, and 67 for 2 after 7. The target is into double figures. 165 is that target. Wyatt playing the ball square and out of the reach of that fielder Tucker, who couldn't quite get there. George Railways, thank you to you. And a return for Ferdous Munda, who joins us once again. South African journalist who has been watching on with intrigue, confidence perhaps.
Oh, I don't know. After the way they fielded in the first couple of overs, looks like South Africa are filled with nerves. And so interesting because their bowling's been the strongest suit all the way, and then today a complete flip where the fielding, the bowling just didn't seem to go according to plan. I mean, England can pretty much chase anything, right? That's what we were worried about, or happy about, I'm not sure. But this crowd, I can tell you, I was out there and it's absolutely pumping.
It isn't it? School's finished. Everyone's dashed
finished.
down. Yeah, dashed on down. Great noise. And I'm pleased to see this. Oh no, I thought it was Ishmael. It's going to be Cap. I thought we were going to see Ishmael continue, but it is Marizanne Cap to bowl to Natalie Siva Brunt, who is driving without perfect timing up towards mid-off. Lees will crouch and pick up. The crowd gently applaud the dot ball.
I would have liked to see Shabnam continue as well. She was building up a good head of steam there. I think I saw delivery, let me see if I can get it right in miles. Was it 80 miles per hour?
No, it was about 76.
Oh, I've gone 4 miles faster than I should have. I thought we calculated around 125 kilometers.
Siva Brunt steps across the stumps and will get at least one, pushing hard for the first, turning for the second. I think there'll be two there. She'll have to get her skates on, but she times it perfectly and does get back for two. Malaba running around to pick up. But the question always is when we will see somebody in the women's game that bowls consistently around 80 miles an hour. I think the sense is that we're not too far away from that with the advantages of professionalism and talent scouting. Here comes Marizanne Kapp then to Bolton. That's Siva Brunt, who is hitting the ball in the air to the right of the fielder. And away to the boundary. It was Ishmael that was, not far away from it. And just for a second, that Siva Brunt would have had her heart in her mouth. She didn't time it perfectly, but she does get 4. England 73 for 2.
Yeah, I think given the catch that was taken off Shabnam Ismail's own bowling, she should have gone for that. Moved a little bit quicker to her right. Maybe just anticipated a little bit better there. Just out of the reach. She's extending one hand only, and I think if she'd moved quicker and got 2 hands underneath, she would have had a better chance.
Here comes Kapp, is played off the back foot towards Ishmael. And a docked ball. We've seen 6 from the over so far. England have been doing a good job of getting the run rate required down. It's now standing at 7.5.
And that's doable, isn't it?
Well, you'd hope so. From what we've seen from this pitch in the last couple of days, it's felt a lot easier to score runs than other games in the tournament. Kapp running in then, in the sunshine, to bowl to Siva Brunt, who helps that on its way down towards fine leg. Fielder scooting round will pick up, and Malaba does well. So 74 for 2 with a ball left of the 8th over of this run chase. England looking to chase down a target of 165. They need 91 from 73. Win predictor says England at 71%. Daniel thinks 60% at the back of the box. Here comes Marizanne Kapp to bowl to Wyatt, just gently angling the ball down towards deep third where Kakar will field. And the over comes to an end, and 8 from it. England will be happy with that. Again, it sees the run rate just dipping down a little more, 75 for 2. 8 gone. The target is 165. For the record, 125 kilometres an hour is 77.6 miles an hour.
Okay, so still not 80. So 80 miles per hour must be around 128 or maybe closer to 130, which is what we're looking for from the women's game. So Shabnam Ismail, I'm bang on, almost 129. My maths is not improving at all here.
Don't worry, that is not a prerequisite for being in this commentary box in the slightest. Daniel's very good at his maths. He can work out batting averages and things like that from just hearing the raw numbers and then just calculating in his head.
That's a skill.
It is very useful when dividing a bill after a meal.
Well, that's when you pretend not to know any mathematics and just let the person who knows all the mathematics pay.
Yeah, I mean, that's all. I'm actually a mathematics genius. I should keep very quiet about it. Very quiet. Malaba's going to bowl then. Star bowler for South Africa, but she's been expensive today. 2 overs going for 24 runs. 75 for 2. We've got Wyatt on strike, dancing down the track and driving through the offside. Long chase for the fielder. I'm not sure it'll be cut off. There's a dive, and it might have been saved, that, you know. They will look at it, and actually a double save. They might run through for 4 here. And I think we might have an all-run 4. Throw comes in, hits the stumps, all kicking off out there.
Yeah, it's Annika Bosch out there, and I do think on her second attempt the ball might have wobbled out and onto the boundary.
Here we go. Well, they got back for a 4th run anyway. So they're checking it. It's Bosch.
Yeah.
I think the ball's just in contact with the fence. So it's just instead some good shuttle runs for the England fielders. Yeah, her hand touches the rope as it touches the ball. Good effort from Bish Bash Bosch. 79 for 2. It's a boundary to start the over. Wyatt's on to 32 from 22. And cricket doing that thing where the net result is ultimately the same, but they're still checking and waiting and confirming.
And it puts Malaba under pressure either way, whether they run 4 or hit 4. This first ball's already gone for more than she would have liked.
79 for 2. Malaba tosses the ball from one hand to the other, comes around the wicket now to bowl too wide. It's dropped short, and she'll clip the ball in front of the fielder at short fine leg and get through for 1. 80 for 2. England just almost ticking off the groups of 10 to get towards their target. They're almost halfway.
Yeah, since Malaba's probably bowled one too many at this stage, I would have maybe brought Chloe Tryon on and definitely kept Shabnam Ismail on the far end.
England 2 down, 80 for 2. Malaba bowling to Siva Brunt, who's deep in the crease, tapping the ball out to backward square leg for 1. And having got that boundary at the start of the over, it provides such freedom for the rest of the over just to find the gaps.
Exactly, just knock it around, whittle the target down in 1s and 2s for this little portion of the match. Get to the halfway stage in a good position.
We got a Malaba coming in now. It's right onto the toes of White, who wants a scrambled leg by that isn't there. So a dot ball. 3 fielders on the boundary on the leg side. We've got a deep cover as well over on the off. An encouragement coming from behind the stumps from Sinala Jafta. 81 for 2. England chasing 165. 2 balls left of the 9th over. Oh, skids on through and beats the bat of White, who again was looking to angle down towards deep third. The dot ball is applauded by the crowd inside Newlands.
They're feeling it every ball, reacting to every single thing that happens. This is probably the biggest crowd for a women's international here.
Down the track and driven firmly towards Sinelise, who does well actually to readjust the toes and stop that ball as it was careering towards the long off boundary. It's a dot, 3 dots to finish that over, so just 6 from it. The required rate moves up a fraction to 7.6. 9 overs gone, England 81 for 2, with Natalie Siva-Brunt on 11 and Danny Wyatt on 33.
Yeah, interesting to see Sinelise with a big smile on her face there. I think the tension is growing and growing here, but she seems to be handling it pretty well. I don't know about the South African fielding. I think that may be the area, much like India last night actually, that ends up letting them down in the long run. Of course, the key wicket here is Danny Wyatt, because she's the batter that scored 100 both times England have chased targets higher than this.
Well, no side has ever chased as many as 165 in a women's T20 World Cup match, so it would be a record-breaking chase for England. But of course, as always in the women's game, when you speak about records, the context is a slightly unusual one in the sense that things have leapt forward so much in the last 2 or 3 years. Nadine de Klerk then is going to bowl from the Weinberg end, right arm with her medium pace. And she bowls to Nat Siva-Brunt, who gets in a bit of a tangle, and the ball goes flying over the top of the leg stump. So a dot ball first up.
Yeah, probably a good thing for Nadine de Klerk to be brought in at this point. I still think Shabnam Ismail should have carried on. Maybe, well, quite possibly being saved for the end.
Looked like it kept a little bit low, that, from de Klerk, who runs in with red hair, charging towards us. Siva-Brunt will drive mercilessly out to deep cover for 1. But not a bad passage of play this for South Africa. After the boundary at the start of the last over, they've really reined England in here. And we mentioned how good South Africa's bowling attack is. They're the only side that haven't conceded a 6 in this year's competition, which tells quite a story, actually.
Exactly, they've been difficult to get away. They've been difficult, especially the pace bowlers, to really get under and hit long and hard.
3 on the boundary on the leg side, 1 in the off, and White is defending into space in the offside. Nicely played for a single. De Klerk fields off her own bowling. England to 83 for 2. That's an amazing statistic given how much cricket we've seen. Required rate 7.8.
And that they've played Australia, one of the teams who we know like to clear the boundary. So their bowlers have been really good.
83 for 2. De Klerk running in. Siva-Brunt hammers the ball into the leg side, but there is a fielder out there in the deep in the form of Chloe Tryon, who will pick up and throw. And de Klerk very much the 5th bowler in this South African attack, so England will feel if they can't plunder some runs from her, they'll have to make them up elsewhere. So this has been a good start from de Klerk, just 3 off the over so far. 2 balls left of the 10th. 84 for 2. Sun shining in Cape Town. Here comes de Klerk, who drops it in short, angled away, and well stopped by Wolfhard at backward point. Saves 4 runs. It's a dot.
Yeah, I think Nadine de Klerk could probably not like to be considered too much of a fifth bowler, although, as you say, that's exactly what she is. I feel like she's sometimes a little bit underused, especially on surfaces like this where the bounce is a little bit uneven. And someone with her pace, or lack of, could get more out of it.
3 from the over so far. Wyatt is hacking the ball towards mid-off. Won't find a run there. And the crowd like that. Really good over from de Klerk. 3 from it. Drinks will be taken with the game. Absolutely in the balance. But what have you made of the first half of this England run chase? Where do you see the game?
South Africa were definitely messier than we've seen from them throughout this tournament so far with the ball in the first, especially the first 6 overs. Danny Wyatt, of course, is the key for England, and she seems to be in really nice touch. She struggled through the group stages a little bit, but has really found her timing. Of course, Natalie Sciver-Brunt will be the other big wicket that South Africa want to get. I get the feeling England have still got this pretty much under control, and it's still going to take something really special from South Africa.
Well, we shall see. 10 overs left of this World Cup semi-final for Desmunda. Some more from you on what you expect the conversations are with those South African fielders, and then it'll be Daniel Norcross.
Yes, so Sunelise getting her troops together as they take a drink, as the crowds break out into it's actually a Zimbabwean origin song, but it's the South African kind of cheerleading / victory cry, Shosholoza, which is about the train going home, and we've seen some trains on the train tracks here, and of course taking the train home or reaching your destination, which I guess in the crowd's case here is the final.
Well, it will be a first time for the South African side, male or female, men or women, to make it through to a World Cup cricket final. They've done it in rugby. Never been done in cricket. Sometimes they got agonisingly close. They've had some such painful moments against England, not least in 2017. And I don't know, I still think this game is hanging in the balance. A wicket here, an inspirational catch there. I think South Africa have been impressive with their ground fielding for those, and it was a sensational catch. I mean, it's hard to look beyond Chanel Henry's reaction catch off Dunkley, but it was a reaction catch, whereas what Brits had to do was make ground, dive and pluck a ball that was going to go for 4, an inch off the ground one-handed.
Yeah, and also make sure that as she landed and the impact of the hand on the floor didn't bobble and cause the ball to kind of fly out, which we've seen happen a couple of times with catches in this tournament. I think that is probably catch of the tournament. I don't know how it may feel to take catch of the tournament and score a half century and still not reach the final, if that's what happens to South Africa.
It's a big if.
You see, we changed quite quickly from wildly optimistic to kind of resignedly pessimistic.
Of course. Now, Ayabonga Kakko is going to come back into the attack. South Africa have used up quite a lot of their premier bowlers. 3 from Laba, 2 from Cap, 2 from Ishmael, and Ishmael's 2, but 2 for 8. You know that Sunelise would love to keep those 2 for the back end, for the death, if possible.
And no Chloe Tryon yet.
I know, but I'm not... I'll tell you what, I'm not too surprised, because actually the seamers have prospered a bit today, haven't they? The spinners have had Sophie Eccleston notwithstanding, who is the #1 bowler in the world. So the seamers have caused more problems. Here is Kakko. First ball after the break, should have been left, wasn't, by Sciver-Brunt. Under edge, goes to short third, and instead of a wide, there's no run. And she throws her head back into the skies. Aye, ouch. But things can happen after drinks breaks. They did yesterday. Jemima Rodrigues hit Darcy Brown's first ball for 4, and the very next ball was for some reason tempted to try and hit a ball that was 3 feet above her head. Got out. Kakko in. This is worked around a pad by Nat Sciver-Brunt out towards deep mid-wicket. They'll settle for the single, bring Wyatt on to strike. 85 for 2. Wyatt to 30. Wyatt has 34. Nat Sciver-Brunt to 14. Getting into her work here. Long on is back. Deep mid-wicket is back. Deep square leg back. Deep extra cover. Then 4 in the ring on the offside. Short third. Point. Extra. Mid-off. On the short, fine leg. So plenty of singles on offer through the leg side. As Wyatt gives herself room, and then it's a caught her short, fine leg. She goes for the pull. Fielder made good ground to her left and took, in the end, a comfortable catch, two-handed. Wyatt didn't get anything like enough on it. She gave herself room. Kakko followed her. She went to pull it. She got half a bat on it, and it floated somewhat into the hands, a short, fine leg, and England have lost their third straight after the drinks break. Once again. Goodness me, Wyatt is distraught. Jafta is delighted. The South Africans cock a hoop, and the drinks have done the trick. Wyatt goes for 34.
And it's Tasman Brits again. She's come back onto the field after leaving with what looked like a bit of a forearm pain or niggle, or just maybe she needed a little bit of time out there and some magic spray put on it. But she's moving so well in the field, and so to get to that ball and to get to it with both hands, that's what Shabnam Ismail could have done when she missed that chance and she just reached out with the right hand. Tasman Brits really seems to have figured out that the best way to catch a ball is to get both hands under it.
Yes.
I mean,
I don't know, who knew?
not me.
Well, how much of a turning point could that prove to be? It brings England's skipper Heather Knight out to bat. She's had a reasonable tournament, slightly modest, 78 runs at an average of 26. Only score of 32 unbeaten. She's just going through her stretches, and she knows that this partnership and then Amy Jones to come are key ones for England. This game is on a knife edge. The crowd are loving it. There's a really sizable crowd now here at Newlands on a beautiful day. It's a blessed part of the world at this time of year with the weather. As Kaka runs away from us, and Knight just block defends up to long on for a single, and the crowd are now so into the game that if you middle the ball and play a firm defensive push up to long on, they're going, ooh!
Lots of oohs and ahs. The Shosholoza has got louder. It seems to be some school kids and groups of people who have come in with the orange t-shirts, the colour of this World Cup, who are singing in full cry.
Silverbrunt hits this out towards deep mid-wicket for a single. Full ball, right at the bottom of the bat. Suddenly the boundaries have dried up for England. They're 87 for 3. They need 78 from 55. Duckworth Lewis par, which is a good indicator at this stage. It says 83. That'll shoot up. England might be just a touch behind it at the end of this over. There's only one ball left in the over. Heather Knight on strike. Back raised, and she works this ball up to long on as well. She looks unflustered at the moment, just working her way into her innings with a couple of singles. So the first over after the drinks break went for 4. The last over before the drinks break just went for 3. England have just hit 7 in the last 2 overs and lost the key wicket of Wyatt. Knight has 2. Silverbrunt, Nat of the Ilk, has 15. England 88 for 3, and there you go. DLS par is 90, so they're just a couple of runs behind. Shows you how tight this game now is. Now, my eyes deceive me, or is Shabnam Ismail?
I think she's just giving Nadine de Klerk a bit of a pep talk there as she returns to her fielding position at mid-on. But that's very important to see, because Shabnam Ismail, much like Catherine Silverbrunt, is the most experienced and almost the one who can pass on most of the knowledge to the young seamers. So not only calming Nadine de Klerk down, but probably helping her out with some tips on where to bowl. And I see she's actually gone all the way back, Shabnam, not to mid-on, but all the way to long on.
Boundary riders are long on, deep mid-wicket, deep backward square, and deep cover. 4 in the ring on the offside and a short fine leg. Nadine de Klerk starts a new over, and Knight tries to drive her through that offside, but can't pierce the gap. It goes straight to the fielder. Every dot ball is cheered. Annika Bosch tidying up inside the ring.
That was quite a roar for a dot ball. It's just to the left of us here that we see the group of orange t-shirt clad supporters.
Upstairs you can go and stand outside, listening to them the outside is
special,
really
isn't it?
It certainly is. Wind predictor still got England 56 to 44. I think it's much closer than that. As Knight dabs into the offside. Silverbrunt goes for the run. It's not there. Shy at the stumps, misses. Chaos all round. It's backed up. There wasn't a run there. And Knight sent her back just in time, but last thing England need is a dodgy run out at this stage. I think if that had hit, she'd probably have been just home. She got the dive in.
Wasn't the worst throw.
No. Next ball worked up to long on again by Knight. That's her 3rd single in that area, but Nadine de Klerk as the 5th bowler is doing a really good job for South Africa. South Africa had used up their premier bowlers, or a lot of them, in the first 9 overs. And then de Klerk's come on. She's only conceded 4 singles in 9 balls. That's Silverbrunt on strike. De Klerk into her. Gives herself room, and she gets a bit of a shank on that. Shy at the stumps, underarm from Jafta. could have yielded an overthrow were it not for the fact that Knight had dived in.
Jaft is lucky to get away with that, I think. Having moved so far away from her position and then thrown it in pretty wildly with no one backing up.
Yep. I mean, had she hit, the Knight would have been home anyway. It was Knight's call. She ran through. 90 for 3. The required rate now has gone up to 9 for the first time in this innings. De Klerk scurries in, and Knight smashes this out towards deep backward square, and now she's starting to think in terms of not just little pushes down the ground. She's looking for the bigger shot. Only gets a single for it though. 91 for 3. 74 needed from 49.
So this is a really important ball coming up for Nadine de Klerk. It's the last ball of her second over. She hasn't gone for a boundary yet. She's kept it pretty tight.
Nat Silverbrunt on strike. She drives firmly up to mid-off. A good tumbling stop prevents what would have been 4. Suna Lisa's worked really well in that area all through England's innings so far. So she got out of that over well. Only 6 runs off the bat from her 2 overs. England needs 73 from 8 overs. The rate over 9 and over. They're 92 for 3. Knight has 4. Silverbrunt 16. What have you spotted?
Well, it looks like Chloe Tryon is going to come on and bowl from the, what are we calling it, the commentary box end?
Kelvin Grove.
Kelvin Grove, of course, the club right next door to us. And I'm not sure about this. You had mentioned that maybe she wasn't exactly required on a surface where the seamers are doing quite well, and where you've got England under a little bit of pressure. And understand keeping Ayabonga Kaka for the end is probably what Sunelise is thinking about. She's got 2 overs from Shabn Ismail for the end. But if England are going to get closer now, this is the over they want to target.
I guess it's a key one, isn't it? And in risking, might they pick up a wicket? That might be what Sunelise is thinking, but I agree with you. It's an interesting manoeuvre. Back into a crease goes Silverbrunt, works it into the onside. Tryon says, I'll get that. They get through for a single. So the field, 3 out in the boundary on the leg side, and a deep extra cover, 4 in the ring on the offside, and a short fine leg. So long on back, mid off up. Knight marks her guard again. A veteran, she's been in situations like this so many times, but every time it's a semi-final. So much more pressure. She goes to the reverse. She gets it fine. She's beaten the fielder. It's running away towards the boundary. Hat comes off Malava. She does a good bit of relaying. Throw comes in, and there's only a couple. Knight is not the fastest between the wickets. Silverbrunt will be quicker.
And Malaba should have been a bit faster in the field there. I'm still a little bit concerned with the South African fielder's hesitance to dive and stop the ball. She chased it a lot further than she should have, almost all the way to the boundary there.
Knight, next ball comes down the wicket, drives over the top. That's going all the way for 6. A mighty shot over, long off. Using her feet, Heather Knight. This is the danger that Firdaus Munda, quite sagaciously, if you don't mind me saying so, pointed out at the start of the over. England's 100 comes up with that 6, 101 for 3.
And that's the first 6 that South Africa have conceded at this World Cup.
Ooh. Tryon in again. Knight waits, punches off the back foot into a gap, finds the boundary rider on the offside and takes the single. Happy with that. She's got 10 off the over so far. 2 balls still to go. 102 for 3. Tryon in again, off just a couple of paces. Nat Silverbrunt in, and she's gone for the sweep. And oh, she's given it. Big appeal, and Nat Silverbrunt's been given out and instantly refers. Instantly refers. No one else was interested in that, and I wonder, was there any bat on that? I wonder, because she did move a long way across her crease, so it's not the most outlandish appeal.
It's not, although, as you say, only Chloe Tryon was appealing there. The speed at which she reviewed suggests to me that she probably did hit it, or she feels pretty confident that she hit it.
I think so. That, and also got to bear in mind now what a key batter she is, so let's take a look at this. I thought she got something right. It was my feeling initially. Look, it's straight. It's straight, and it's, well, I think that, I don't know, has that come off glove or has it come off pad? We're going to have to wait and see here. It's been punched off the bottom hand. It was nowhere near the pad. It never got near the pad. And Jackie Williams, who's already given a leg bye in this match, when somebody didn't play a shot at all. Was now given an LBW for when Nat Siver punched the ball fine. Would have got a single, incidentally, which they didn't get, which is another bugbear of mine. I'll come to the solution to that in a moment. For doses. Tryon is in, down, wicket, dropped! Nat Siver drives firmly to the left of Tryon. She put out a left hand, it didn't stick. It would have been a great catch, but she couldn't pull it off. So 10 runs off that Tryon over. She thought she had a wicket, she nearly had one twice. 13 overs gone for Dose. You've got to go. Where's the game going? Before you go, where's it going?
England to win on the last ball, or the second last ball.
Well, we thank Firdose for all of her contributions in this World Cup so far. No doubt we'll hear from her again before the tournament is over. But well, Jackie Williams.
Look, she's not had the best tournament.
63 needed from 7. I could say no more. I mean, she punched it, Siver. She got a huge amount of bat on it and was denied a run. As the start of a new over, first ball is driven out towards deep extra cover. Fielder chases after it, get a single. De Klerk is bowling her third and probably last over, because Tryon's now bowled one. But she's bowled really well here so far. Hasn't conceded more than a single off any ball.
Has nearly just taken a screamer as well.
Yep. Right, De Klerk is in. And Silverbrunt drives, but can't beat extra cover. Dot ball. Crowd get excited with every dot. 62 needed from 40. Getting tricky here, Alex Hartley.
Getting really tricky. I'm going to go back to the Joss Butler way of thinking. And when you're behind on runs needed, balls left, how many sixes is that? How many boundaries?
Silverbrunt flicks into the onside. This will be at least 2. It's gone between 2 fielders. It's running away towards the boundary. It's been stopped just inside that boundary. Good sliding stop. 2 more to the total. 105 for 360 needed from 39.
So I'm going to think about it in 4s probably, rather than 6s. Yep. So 5 4s and you're back at less than a run a ball.
It's good thinking from you, but you've got to take the 5 balls off as well. So 6 4s.
Less than a run a ball.
Roughly, yeah. Hoikt out towards deep mid-wicket for a single. Silverbrunt moves to 20, brings Knight on to strike. 14 from 10. She's looked aggressive in this knock so far. She started with a few singles, just pushed down the ground. Subsequent to that, she started to try and find the big shot. She's already hit a 6. Nadine de Klerk is into her. She moves across her crease and is beaten on the outside edge with a slower ball. Good bowling from Nadine de Klerk. There's a deep cover. 4 in the ring on the offside. Knight would love to manufacture a way piercing that offside field. It was a loopy, slower ball that completely bamboozled England's skipper. Bounced in front of the keeper. Last ball of the 14th over. She comes down the wicket and hoiks again, this time out to deep mid-wicket. De Klerk has been magnificent here. She's conceded just 5 runs in that over, 11 from 3. We thought South Africa's problem would be their 5th bowler. Well, she's been their best bowler. 3 overs, none for 11. And England now, that rate's nearly up to 10 and over. 58 needed from 36 balls.
England going to have to target one of the senior bowlers here for South Africa. And it's that typical cat and mouse. So Marizanne Kapp coming on to bowl here for South Africa. When do England go? When do they take that risk? They still have Amy Jones to come.
It's got to be now, isn't it? You think they got one more over of knocking about, or have a go now?
I think you've probably got one more over to just take the game as deep as you can, but there's going to become a stage. 58 needed from 36 balls. England have been so dominant in this World Cup, but if it goes into the last over, anything can happen.
Yeah, well, at the moment they'd like to be in with a chance at the last over. They're struggling here as Kapp is in. It's a Knight who pulls out towards deep mid-wicket. There'll only be the single. He was flung in from the deep on the bounce. Every time there isn't a boundary, the crowd loving it. If there's a dot ball, they go wild. If there's a wicket, they go absolutely berserk.
Been trying to work out for the last day Spider-Cam man next door.
Oh, yeah.
I think we called him Phil yesterday. We don't know his name.
Phil will do.
Spider-Man
He
Phil.
looks quite Philish.
I think he's supporting England.
Do you?
I think so. I'm not sure. I'm going to go and ask him.
Go and ask him, yeah. Right. Nat Sciver-Brunt has really not got going yet. 20 from 24. Just the one boundary. Faces up to Cap. Gives herself some room. Whacks it through the offside. Past the diving extra cover. It's running away towards the boundary. It'll get there. That's exactly what England needed. And for a moment or two, the crowd is silenced. The England flags, there are a couple of them being waved away to our left-hand side. That was a terrifically timed and placed shot from Nat Sciver-Brunt. Gave herself room. That was threading the eye of a needle. It had to be hit firmly to beat the long off. And she's done it, her second boundary, 112 for 3. Cap in again, short. Has been whacked out towards deep mid-wicket. Can't see it. But it's fielded on the deep mid-wicket boundary for a single. Did you lose that? I lost that.
I had absolutely no idea where that went.
We're around that time of day.
With that boundary, it's just changed the field here for England. So there's a deep extra cover and mid-off has come into the ring. So a huge opportunity for England to go down the ground here if they want.
Knight likes to hit up and over extra cover. Cap loops in. Knight chops into the offside, scurries through for a single. An easy one. Tryon tidies up on the edge of the circle. 51 needed from 32.
Gripped in the surface, that cutter there from Marizanne Cap. Just run her fingers down the side of the ball. Jagged back in towards Captain Heather Knight.
Signs things are getting trickier. 114 for 3. Knight has 17. Sciver-Brunt on 25. She's facing up now. Goes for a huge mow. She got it out through deep mid-wicket. Fielder there. Ishmael fumbles. They're coming back for a second. Quick set, have to be quick. And she is. 2 more. So, what's this? 9 off the over so far. England needed 9.5 at the start of the over.
It's great running from Heather Knight. Not the quickest between the wickets, but she set off there. She knew she had to come back for 2.
Last ball of the over. Sciver-Brunt on strike. Bends her knees, waits, and whacks this down to long on. But there is a fielder there, Tasnim Brits, who's been everywhere today, both with bat and pulling off one of the most spectacular catches you've ever seen. Check that out on the BBC Sport website and APNA highlights section. Alex Ardley, there's 5 overs to go. Is it the last 5 overs of England's campaign, or will they live to fight another day? Thoughts from you, and then to take you through to the end of this pulsating match, it's Henry Moran.
Well, this is what we want, isn't it? When we play World Cup cricket, we want exciting semi-finals. We want exciting finals. It's exactly what we're getting here. Score's pretty similar at this stage. South Africa were 116 for 1, England 117 for 3. And South Africa, they lost those wickets at the death, which really halted their run setting.
Until 18 from the final over, bowled by Catherine Sciver-Brunt, which really inflated the target for England and what was achieved, of course, by South Africa. Right then, here comes Shabnim Ishmael, who has been brilliant so far. 2 overs, 2 for 8. Massive over coming up, with England needing 48 from 30 for a place in the World Cup final. We're both standing, Alex. You're bouncing from one foot to a bit like my 3-year-old niece does when
she needs a wee.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm nervous, Henry, I'm nervous.
117 for 3. In comes Ishmael to Nat Sciver-Brunt, and she plays a lovely ramp scoop over the keeper's head into the boundary for 4. Brilliant shot from a brilliant player.
Unbelievable that from Nat Sciver-Brunt. You've got to take a risk. It's high risk, but it's high reward. As soon as you get it up and over that short fine fielder, she sets herself, she plays it off the stumps. It's really well adjusted there from Nat Sciver-Brunt.
If she'd missed that, off stump was out of the ground.
But she didn't. She got the boundary.
44 from 29. Pressure on the bowler. Here comes Ishmael again. Still fine leg and short further up. This time it's held round the corner for 4 more. On the ground on this occasion. Back-to-back boundaries. A rather serious faced Amy Jones in the dugout applauds as the equation shifts to 40 from 28. Ishmael under the pump thanks to the efforts of Nat Sciver. It was leg side-ish. She didn't need much on it. She got enough on it.
Tried an attempted slower ball there from Ishmael. Ran her fingers down the side of the ball, but it was going down the leg side. And Sciver-Brunt just helping the ball along its way. 2 boundaries in a row. 8 runs already off this over. England need to go at 9.5s.
40 needed from 28. Field changes, fine leg is now back. Oh, exposing the stump. Siva Brunt takes a little bit of a chance. He's trying to expose that offside. In the end, more relaxed than I think anyone else in the ground, just pats the ball away towards cover. Dot ball.
And do you know what I love about Nat Siva Brunt, is how calm she is out there. It was a great delivery that from Ishmael, a Yorker that she managed to dig out and just pat back towards extra cover. She just laughed, almost like she's in total control of what's going on here.
Well, England will hope that's the case. India thought that with Harmanpreet this time yesterday. Ishmael bowling to Siva Brunt, gives herself some room, swing and a miss, keeper fumbles, they'll get through for the bye. 39 needed from 26.
Have you worked out if Spider-Man Phil is South Africa supporter or England supporter?
Don't know.
His expressions, I think maybe England.
What do you think?
I think.
Yeah, he's concentrating hard now. He's controlling the spider cam, which is on some strings. The camera itself is hovering just above.
Well, I hope it's on more than string.
Well, you know what I mean. It's all string wire.
Like a puppet.
Look, here we go. Ishmael with 39 needed from 26. England captain Heather Knight on strike. It's pulling into the leg side, into space. It's bobbling and bouncing towards Nadine de Klerk, who runs around the pick up. And England get another single. Good over this so far. 10 from it. 1 ball left. The required rate stands just over 9.
Who thought that de Klerk would be the one for South Africa to have a day out today with the ball?
And Brits.
Brits as well. 2 players that haven't stood up in this tournament. Brit played pretty well in their last game. She got 50. But to back it up against one of the best teams in the world, unbelievable from her. And she's taken the catch of the tournament, I reckon.
38 needed from 25. Here comes Ishmael bowling to Siva Brunt, who hammers the ball into the leg side. I think it'll be 4, and it is. Behind square, racing to the boundary, and de Klerk, despite her best efforts, can't stop it. Expensive over with 14 coming from it. England needs 34 from 24 for a place in the World Cup final.
Well, it's an unbelievable over from England. It's exactly what they needed. Siva Brunt, 3 4s in that over. But it's going to go down to the wire. This game is going to be an absolute thriller. We're going to see de Klerk with the ball. Her last over, she's bowled none for 11 from 3 overs. Pace off is working here for South Africa.
It is. Siva Brunt on 40, Knight on 18. England still have Amy Jones, Catherine Siva Brunt, Sophie Eccleston, Charlie Dean, Sarah Glenn and Lauren Bell. Will they need them?
What a tournament Nat Siva Brunt is having.
Ridiculous. Extraordinary. Get in touch, let us know where you're listening. Hashtag BBC Cricket, live text commentary. To join the conversation, you'll find the in-play highlights there as well. Here comes de Klerk, right arm over. Knight takes a step across the stumps, whips the ball behind square, but there is protection out there in the deep. Marizanne cap underneath some rather loud sunglasses picks up. 1 run taken. The equation, 33 from 23.
The crowd here today has built up fantastically. And like we were saying, is it going to play in South Africa's hands, that extra 12th person out there?
Here comes de Klerk bowling to Nat Siva Brunt, who hits the ball in the air, down the ground, fielder underneath it, should takes the catch, and she does! It's Tasmin Brits again! Waiting at long on. Siva Brunt trying to launch the ball out of the ground, couldn't do so. Siva Brunt, who has been so good, so reliable. With the pace taken off the ball, she didn't get hold of it. It was 6 or out. And it's gone. Brit with the catch. England need 33 from 22. And they're gun battered apart.
It's a huge blow for England, that. A huge, huge blow. De Klerk runs a finger down the side of the ball. She bowls the off-cutter. Siva Brunt looking to go straight down the ground. Drags it to mid-on, and somebody try and keep Tasmin Brits out of this game. You can't. She is absolutely everywhere. She is doing everything for her team here. South Africa, they're on top. 33 needed from 22 balls. England have lost Nat Siva Brunt, the glue that has held this team together throughout this World Cup.
In at 6, Amy Jones, who joins Heather Knight, 2 experienced campaigners. She's played well in this tournament. 2 scores above 30, a best of 47. But the pressure is on, and Nat Siva Brunt gets a pat on the back from wife Catherine, who has her pads on, knowing that she may yet have work to do in this game. Due in next, with England's 33 from 22 as a requirement for a place in Sunday's final. De Klerk, who's been outstanding. Little pause and a wait as umpire Jackie Williams just ramps up the tension, as she hasn't quite had the go from the TV operators. But here we are. Here comes De Klerk to the right-handed Amy Jones. De Klerk to Jones. It's a low full toss, which is whipped up towards Brits, long on, of course. And a single taken. 32 from 21.
Have they just got 9 other Brits out there?
Well, she seems to have magnets in her hands, doesn't she?
She does. She's been exceptional today. And that's what World Tournaments are about. Players stepping up at the right moments. It's exactly what she's done today.
De Klerk in her final over has figures of 1 for 13. Knight clips the ball into the leg side. Should be 2. Amy Jones is quick, and they are pushing for that second run. Throw comes in, but Jones is too rapid. And England make life just a little easier for themselves with 30 needed from 20.
4 runs so far coming off this over from De Klerk. 1 for 15, 3.4 overs.
Economy rate of just over 4. Amazing. De Klerk bowling to Knight, who hacks the ball into the leg side. Fielder is waiting at deep backward square and will pick up. Missed opportunity there. It was a little leg side-ish and didn't require much on it to bring 4 runs. 29 needed from 19. Are England going to be in the World Cup final or on the plane home tomorrow?
Georgia Ellis nods for the World Cup final. She's confident.
She is confident. She's always confident.
I want to see it happen.
Final ball of the over. Jones on strike. Hit into the leg side. Decent timing, but Brits is so quick across the ground. Throws in with that rocket arm. And the end of a sensational spell from Nadine de Klerk. She finishes 4 overs, 1 for 17. England need 28 from 18 balls. We've got 3 overs left of this World Cup semi-final. It's in the balance, but which way is that balance leaning, Alex?
Honestly, I don't know. I said at the start, I don't know where this game is going. South Africa, they've got to decide who they're bowling where. For me, you've got to go the 3 seamers. I think you can't bowl spin. England's so good against spin in this tournament, easily scoring 9 runs and over, so you've got to go your seamers. It's going to be Kaka to bowl this over. Now this is a huge over for England. They have to take advantage of this over.
I agree with you. Kaka's been reasonably expensive so far. 3 overs, 1 for 26. Amy Jones is somebody that likes pace on the ball. She's very strong off the back foot. We've got field up inside the circle. On the offside, it's that leg side where it's packed. We've got fine leg, deep backward square leg, deep mid-wicket and long on, all on the boundary. So we're not going to expect much outside that off stump, I don't think. As England require 28 from 18. And here comes Ayabonga Kaka. 18th over begins now. Kaka in, right arm over. Jones comes down the track, in the air, straight to the fielder, and she's gone. Caught an extra cover. Jones departs, trying to create some room, chips it towards that fielder, who was going to make no mistake. England need 28 from 17 and they're 5 down.
You can see what Amy Jones is trying to do there. She's trying to go through the offside, everybody up on the offside. She's trying to create room, go up and over extra cover. She just slaps it straight to extra cover. And South Africa, look at them, they are elated. They are in control of this game. Caught by Bosch at extra cover. Bowled Kaka. And we're going to see Sophie Ecclestone come in now. And I like this. Sophie Ecclestone smacked it in England against South Africa at Derby last year. I think she got 33 off 12 balls. England need that. They need that now.
It's not quite that, but it's not far from it. 20 and 17. Required rate touching 10 and over. Are England crashing out of the World Cup in a match that many saw as a formality? They didn't. They never said that.
You know how dangerous a team like South Africa can be. It's a home World Cup. South Africa have absolutely nothing to lose here. England, the second best team in the world.
Field switches slightly with long off out now because Ecclestone is pretty powerful down the ground. And she's on strike now, takes a moment to compose herself. And sees Kaka coming forward. 28 needed from 17. Eccleston plays the ball into the ground, down the ground. It's nicely struck, but fielder will pick up and toss the ball in before England can even think about a second. Claire Connor, director of women's cricket at the ECB, is shown on the big screen behind some sunglasses, who looking a little nervous. Jones has got that almost absolutely right.
Just 2 metres either side, it's 4.
Yep. 27 needed from 16. England need a boundary. Their captain Heather Knight waits, swings hard at it, wide. That'll help. 26 from 16. Every little helps.
Is that not a supermarket advert phrase?
Well, it's also a phrase in normal life.
Every little helps.
It's not like I said mums go to Iceland, is it?
Other supermarkets are available.
26 from 16. Knight takes a step across the stumps, misses. There could be a single if they want to risk it. They don't. And it's a dot ball. 26 from 15. We've seen just the 2 runs from the over so far. And the required rate now close to 10.5 and over. Win predictor has South Africa at 59%. England therefore at 41%. Feels a little generous to England, I'd say. 26 needed from 15. Sine Lees stands in the shadow of the stand at the far end, chewing her nails. Here comes Kaka bowling to Knight, who mistimes a drive, will pick up 1 probably only. They'll turn for a second. They're going to have to push for it, are they? No. So it's just the single. She hasn't timed an awful lot today, has Heather Knight. 1 big 6, but otherwise hasn't quite found the middle of that bat. 25 needed from 14. Feverish atmosphere around the ground.
Never 2 to Ishmael out on the boundary there.
Eccleston can hit a long ball and England need it. 25 from 14 required. 3 from the over so far, that's all. Eccleston's chipped it up in the air. Easy catch at cover. England on the brink. Eccleston goes for 1. The fireworks go up once more. And Kaka has taken 3 for including 2 in this vital 18th over. Listen to the noise around Newlands.
Well, South Africa, they're on top here. Sophie Eccleston looking to go down the ground. The bat twists in her hand. She's not in a great shape. It's Bosch again with the catch. South Africa never been in a T20 World Cup final.
In a World Cup final, full stop, men's or women's.
They have a huge, huge opportunity here. Catherine Sciver-Brunt coming to the crease now with Heather Knight.
Tashiho our side here. 18 from that final over. No one means to bowl an over like that, but it was a poor one.
She was the best bowler on the day until that over. She's a senior player. You have to give her that last over.
Catherine Sciver-Brunt, this extraordinary servant for English cricket. When she made her debut, the thought of a packed out ground with eyes on this game from all around the world, it was inconceivable. 37 years old, it's her last World Cup. And she comes to the middle with 25 needed from 13. If she can do this for England, it will go up there with one of her finest achievements.
She loves to slap the ball through the offside. The Sciver-Brunt. She'll be targeting that area here.
Here comes Ayabonga Kaka. Final ball of the 18th over. Oh, a struck on the pad, given out first ball. I think she'll review it, but the celebrations for those in green are wild. They think it's another wicket. And she's walking.
Captain Heather Knight's just told her, can't review that, that's out. But she's told her to do it. She's told her to do it.
She's too late. She's saying, I told you to. And I think umpire Claire Polisak's going to say, I'm sorry, the clock ran out.
No, they've gone upstairs. Half a second to...
At most.
Heather Knight saying, I said review it, Sciver-Brunt obviously didn't see that. South Africa coach, he's having a word with the 3rd umpire saying, hang on, the 4th umpire saying, hang on a second. Was that not out of time?
Felt that way. I mean, either way, it's going to be 25 from 12. Question is it going to be Sciver-Brunt out there in the middle with Heather Knight or Charlie Dean? Here we go, first replay. Kaka bowls, angles in. What's that missing?
I think that's out. That's hitting middle and Middle of off stump, middle of leg stump. There's no bat involved. Her bat's miles away from her front pad.
Unless this is doing too much, I don't think it is.
She has come down the pitch.
Impact in line, wickets, hitting, she's gone. First baller for Catherine Sciver-Brunk in what is looking increasingly like being her final World Cup appearance for England. 3 wickets in Ayabonga Kaka's final over. England need 25 from the final 2, and their World Cup dream is slipping through their fingers, Alex.
It's all on Heather Knight, Captain Heather Knight. Can she have a captain's knock? They need her to stand up. The pressure on the captain here as Sarah Glenn comes to the crease to join her. Glenn won't be on strike, it's the start of a new over. But what an over from Kaka, a game-changing over. South Africa, they've stepped up when they needed to today. They've been outstanding. Yes, there's been moments where they've been sloppy, but when they've needed it to count and matter, they've done absolutely that.
They have been brilliant. Sarah Glenn, then, rather than Charlie Dean, with 25 needed from 12. England need a huge over, penultimate over of the game. South Africa will feel they can win it in this over. Marizanne Kapp is going to bowl it with Heather Knight on strike. Knight hits the ball into the leg side, doesn't really time it, doesn't really commit to the stroke either, and it's just going to be a single to bring Sarah Glenn on strike. That feels an unusual shot to me, Alex. One taken, 24 from 11.
Yeah, she's just looking to sweep the ball past that short fine fielder. There's a gap down there. She plays it really well, but she's just not got hold of it.
24 from 11. England 141 for 7. Fielders in the deep. Long on, deep mid-wicket, deep square leg, and long off. Here comes Marizanne Kapp with Sarah Glenn on strike. Right-hander. Oh, she's beaten by a ball that goes past the leg stump. Throw comes in at the stumps and misses. They'll run through for a bye, and that was entirely necessary. It's 23 from 10.
Lauren Bell looks nervous. She's not next, she's the one after. Batting at number 11. Great delivery from Kapp. Grips in the surface, runs her fingers down the side of the ball. Heather Knight, good, you have to run it. You have to run to the keeper. She has to have the strike.
23 needed from 10. England desperate for a boundary. Down the track comes Knight, in the air, down the ground, over the fielder, it's 6! 17 needed from 9, and we're not done yet.
Captain Heather Knight, just when England needed it, she got the boundary. For a moment, I thought Chloe Tryon was in there. I thought she was going to catch that. Heather Knight comes down the track, big old heave, 73 metres, it's enough, it's 6 runs.
Amazing scenes on the replay in the England dugout. 17 needed from 9. Knight waiting, swinging the ball into the offside. There's a fielder out there at deep cover. It's Nadine de Klerk. They'll just get 1. It's 16 from 8. A boundary here from Sarah Glenn would be most welcome for England. Keep it in play for that final over.
I'm trying to work out if this is a free hit for Glennie. I think if it was the 5th ball, it definitely is. So if it was the last ball of the over, sorry.
Here comes Kapp bowling to Glenn. Outside the off stump, launched in the air, fielder running in. Will she get there? No, it'll drop short. England have to push for the second. They do. Throw comes in, and they get back for 2. 14 needed for 7. It'll be Glenn on strike with what is a free hit.
This is a free hit
for the final ball of the over, and I think Heather Knight's telling her that.
Yeah, free hit for Sarah Glenn. You've got to go for it. Boundary here takes it to 10 off 6. And it'll be Ishmael bowling the last, you imagine. Who's got 2 for 21.
14 needed for 7. From 7. And here comes Marizanne Kapp. Bowling to Sarah Glenn, who launches into the leg side. It's going to drop short of Shabnim Ishmael. They push for 1, should surely push for a second. It's going to be Glenn on strike for the final over. With 13 needed from 6. Did they have to take that run? Should they have taken that run?
Yeah. Glenn's got a free hit now. She's got to get 1. She's got to get Captain Heather Knight on strike. 12 for a super over.
Yep. 12 takes us to added time.
12 runs came off that last over. England need 13 off the final. Ishmael's bowling. Watch your nerve. Who is made of steel here?
13 from the last over. Sarah Glenn, England's number 9.
Can strike the ball, Sarah Glenn.
She can. Field up inside the circle on the offside. Long off, long on, deep mid-wicket and deep backward square of the field is on the boundary. Now I think that Heather Knight has to run here.
Get your skates on, Skip.
Glenn on strike as in comes Ishmael. Hit down the ground, it'll be 1. The equation moves, 12 from 5. Heather Knight will back herself.
She has to back herself. England have to back themselves.
Sophia Dunkley can't look.
She was looking quite nervous until she was on the big screen and she did a big old fake smile. No, we've got this. It's so under control.
Right then, field remains the same. 12 needed from 5 as in comes Shabnim Ishmael, bowling to Heather Knight. In position, looking to scoop it over the head. Don't run, Heather. And she hasn't. It's a dot ball. 12 needed from 4.
It's the right option. That is the right option. She had to. That's your boundary option. Marizan Kapp, arm around Ishmael, helping her teammate out. South Africa have a huge opportunity to get through to a World Cup final for the first time ever.
12 needed from 4. England have got just 1 run from the first 2 balls of this over. Goodness, how they need a boundary from this ball. In comes Shabnim Ishmael to bowl to Heather Knight. Swings hard and is bowled! That could be the game, it should be the game. And listen to that roar around Newlands. Leg stump is out of the ground. Sunay Lees, the South African captain, who has had a remarkable few weeks. She did not think she'd be leading this side. She can't even bring herself away from in front of that crowd at the far end. She looks at the floor, can barely believe what is happening. South Africa on the brink of a first ever World Cup final. England need 12 from 3, and their captain Heather Knight goes.
I haven't heard a crowd erupt like that loud for a long time. Heather Knight looking for the slog sweep into the leg side. It hits her back thigh and ricochets onto the stumps. Charlie Dean, she has to get 3 fours. Boundaries are needed here for Charlie Dean. Ishmael, she just needs a dot, and then it's South Africa. South Africa will be through to a World Cup final.
6s. You're ruling out the 6s?
I'm being realistic.
England need 12 from 3. Charlie Dean takes a little bit of a step to the leg side, has a think, has to try and come up with some route to finding these runs. Shabnim Ishmael, incidentally, has just become the joint leading wicket taker in the history of this tournament, joining Anya Shrubsole on 41. 12 from 3. England right on that precipice. Here comes Shabnim Ishmael, bowling to Charlie Dean. She's trying to scoop it round the corner. The fielder does stop it. They'll get 1. And it's 11 needed from 2. I think the crowd know.
Don't mind that from Charlie Dean. It's the right option. You get it past that short fine fielder, it's a boundary. Clever fielding from Kaka. She knows it's coming. She was already backtracking. She was already there to stop that ball. If she didn't have that cricket smart about her, she wouldn't have been in position to stop that. Sarah Glenn, 2 6s here. 2 6s to get your team into the World Cup final. One of the best bowlers in the world bowling at you though.
Shabnim Ishmael to Sarah Glenn. England need 11 from 2. Glenn hits the ball hard in the air. She's not got enough on it. It's going to land safely. They won't try and risk a catch. 2 taken, but it matters not because South Africa are going to be in the World Cup final on Sunday. England will require 9 from 1, and that does not go.
What a game. What a game of cricket. England will be hurting right now. They should have won this game. We said anything over 150 would be pressure. Tell you what though, their mantra's to entertain. What a game of cricket this has been.
Hasn't it? And all credit to South Africa. When they've needed to turn up, they have absolutely done that. England need 9 from 1. Here comes Shabnim Ismail. It's hit in the air, it's hit down the ground. Again, there's not enough on it. 3 fielders converge, but converge to celebrate. It is those in green that roar with delight. Newlands is rocking. The stand shaking on their very foundations because South Africa are in a World Cup final for the first time. They're at home and they've done it. They've won by 6 runs against a side that had come into this semi-final unbeaten, outstanding, but ultimately falling short. 6 runs the margin. 2 thrilling semi-finals have left us, with Australia against South Africa on Sunday, and the side humbled by Sri Lanka here 2 weeks ago today. With everything that has gone on in that squad, players left out, selection questions, when it counted they've turned up, and they've booted England out of this tournament.
History right here, history for South Africa, history for this World Cup, for any World Cup. South Africa in a World Cup final. Devastation for England. I am absolutely gutted for them, absolutely gutted. They've played unbelievable cricket throughout this World Cup, but when it mattered, they couldn't get over the line. South Africa, they've done it in front of a home crowd. They've got through to a World Cup final. Doesn't matter what happens from here. Doesn't matter if they win or lose that final. They've created history. They've done it at home, and they've changed the way, or they will have changed the way, South Africa looks at cricket from here on out.
Georgia Elvis joins us. You were watching at the back of the box. The England side walk onto the fields, shake the hands of their opponents. Sarah Glenn's in floods of tears. She would have believed she could win it. But it is South Africa that get over the line, and what a story.
It's an amazing story. We've seen them be booted out of World Cup finals so often, booted out of World Cups so often in semi-finals, and this team wanted to rewrite the script. They didn't start this tournament how they would have wanted to, and they've had to fight so hard. They've regrouped and they've come back, and today, in the key moments, they were better than England. I think it's been an absolutely brilliant game of cricket. And you know what? For women's cricket, it's good that there's another side in a final. South Africa deserve to be there after that performance today. They had to have everything go for them, and let's be honest, it did. The crowd were right behind them. I think that must have spurred them on. The adrenaline pumping in there. And for England, I'm absolutely devastated. I think they were playing some really, really good cricket, but just on the day, they couldn't put it together. And credit to South Africa, they deserve every bit of their success. And actually, it was great to see how much it meant to them out there. Every single one of them was riding every single ball, and the crowd got right behind them, and it'll be a fantastic occasion for them on Sunday.
The target was 165. England make 158 for 8. Nat Siver-Brunt, Heather Knight and Danny Wyatt all passing 30 but couldn't go on, and in the end the Taylors, they looked for those runs, just couldn't get there. Alex, on social media, a lot of messages saying England bottling it, England falling short, England failing. For me, I'm not sure that's quite the story.
No, that's not the story at all. They haven't bottled it. They haven't bottled anything. They have a new mantra, is to play entertaining cricket, and that is exactly what they've done in this tournament. They've been so good to watch. They just haven't done it at the right time.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think you've got, John Lewis has come out and said he doesn't mind what the outcome of games is. It's the way that they're playing, and that's got to be the message that rings true around this squad. They're a fantastic group of players, and they've played the way that they've wanted to, and unfortunately this is a knockout game and the result hasn't gone their way, but they're playing this way, this brand of cricket, and let's be certain they're going to win a lot more games of cricket playing like this moving forward.
The fan in me is gutted.
I can see. Yeah, and England will feel that 9 times out of 10 they should beat South Africa, but a World Cup semi-final, a raucous crowd at Newlands, the pressure that comes with it, it's not as straightforward as that, and my goodness, have we got a special day on Sunday.
Yeah, it will be a fantastic occasion. These South African players, some had written them off after that first game loss against Sri Lanka. They really had to go back, regroup, lick their wounds and come out fighting, and they did that throughout the group games. What have they got to lose now? Is going to be the the biggest occasion of their lives on Sunday. They're going to be hopefully playing in front of another packed Newlands against the world champions currently, and they have got absolutely nothing to lose. All the pressure, all the expectation is on Australia.
Here's Tasmin Brits.
Ladies and gentlemen, your player of the match is Tasmin Brits. She will receive her trophy from Cricket South Africa President Rian Richards. Congratulations to Tasmin, 68 from 55, 6 fours and 2 sixes and 4 spectacular. Taz, I know you're going to say congratulations to the team, but this is about you. How did it feel to play such an important hand in the biggest match in South African women's cricket history?
Well, as a cricketer, you dream of these moments to actually show up when you need it the most. But with that, I want to say thank you very much to the crowd. I think they definitely got behind us. I think without them, it wouldn't be possible. It's nice to have your own home crowd, behind you instead of it in someone else's country. So, yeah.
I know how frustrated it was, the run chase against Bangladesh, but you came out there with wonderful intent in the power play. Talk us through your innings and how you paced it.
Yeah, Wolfina in the beginning, especially against Bangladesh, we saw we needed to, accelerate a bit more in the power play, which we tried to do against England. I still battled a bit in the beginning, but, once I started understanding the game a bit of, the pitch in the beginning, then, of course, I started going a bit better.
What did you make of the score at the halfway stage? Did you think you could defend it?
Well, funny enough, we had this conversation and we said 140 is the minimum and 160 is what we're looking at. And I actually wrote that down on a piece of paper and I said to myself, that is what I'm going to go for. And I'm glad the team and everyone could support that and we could get to that 165.
You took 4 catches today and one absolute specky. Talk us through it.
I still can't believe it. I was actually saying, I'm actually on a 5 for 4 catches because I'm not a bowler. Sometimes I wish they'd throw me the ball and say, I'll go give it a shot. But yeah, I'm very impressed and I'm very happy with that.
It's the first time the South African women's team is heading into a Cricket World Cup final. You take on Australia on Sunday. What does this mean for women's sport in this country?
I think with the crowd, you can already hear what it actually means, especially for our country. So we're privileged, we're blessed, and all glory to God for giving us this opportunity. So yeah, finals, yeah, we come.
Congratulations. Our player of the match today, Tasmin Brits.
Thank you.
Richly deserved as well. She was absolutely brilliant today, and she's not had a great tournament up until this point, but she was sensational. It's a microcosm of fantastic story. She was due to be a javelin thrower in the 2012 Olympics, involved in a car accident and missed that, and now gets her chance in front of her home crowd to do something spectacular. A lot of talk about what this means for women's sport in this country, Georgia, and if we take aside the disappointment for England just briefly, this is a huge day for South African women's sport.
It is. They've never made a World Cup final, and you could hear how much the crowd were loving the work out there from the South African players and just how much that boosts them out there on the field as well. They came here to right some wrongs. Like you said, all that talk before the tournament about stuff that was going on off the field. Have they got their best 11 out there? Are they able to select from their best 11? They have put that to the back of their minds and they've come out there wanting to do a job, and I think they're going to inspire a lot of girls out there. I think they already have throughout this tournament, just the way that they fought so hard, what it means to them, and to have the crowd like this supporting them. If they come back on Sunday, then anything's possible.
Sophie Eccleston just shown on the big screen, floods of tears, and she'll know that England were close but not close enough. What did, if anything, England do wrong today, Alex?
It's really hard to pinpoint certain moments, isn't it? There's always going to be expensive overs in T20 cricket, so the last over going for 18 is never ideal. That no ball then becomes a free hit, just changes the momentum of things, and it changes the momentum of the game going into the second innings. So going into the second innings, actually South Africa had that momentum, but
England started brilliantly.
But England started really well. So the first 3 overs, England were on top, and you thought, wow, here we go. There is no moment for me that actually sticks out and goes, that's where the game was won and lost. Where actually in the semi-final yesterday, the game was lost when Harmanpreet Kaur was run out. Today there is no specific moment. Unfortunately for England, they just weren't quite good enough. And South Africa, they had that extra support. And the really big thing for me and the impressive thing for me is certain players standing up when it mattered. De Klerk, 1 for 17.
Sensational.
In a World Cup semi-final. Brits, 50 odd with the bat. That specky catch, she drops that, it goes, that's 4. Any other day of the week, that is 4. Alice Capsey's in, she's going, she gets going. So, South Africa, they just had everything going for them today. They had everyone behind them. You could tell how much it meant to them. They were underdogs for a start, and I think that always helps a team.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me the moment was Nat Sciver-Brunt getting caught on the boundary. I think if she stays in with Heather Knight, you win this game, and she had to go for it. I'm not blaming her whatsoever, but I think that was a critical moment in the run chase. And like Alex said, had that last over that Catherine Sciver-Brunt bowled perhaps gone for 10, it's a different story, isn't it? It's fine margins again, like we spoke about in the semi-final yesterday. And then the pressure of a run chase, it just got too big on them towards the end. And even though Heather Knight was there, she couldn't get the strike. She was stood at the non-striker's end, watching wickets fall. And I think, if you've got a set batter in and on strike, it's so much easier. But she just couldn't get the strike towards the end. And when Nat Sciver-Brunt fell, I thought, that the task got much more difficult from them.
Alex, I know in the fullness of time there'll be a proper opportunity for reflection, and we will hear from the England captain as well as the South African skipper shortly, but will England view this tournament as a failure?
I don't think so. I think not getting to the final is obviously getting to the final is obviously what England wanted. They are the set team in the world. They should be at a World Cup final, but they're regrouping. If we're comparing them to how they played in the Commonwealth Games, they didn't even medal. They came fourth. So they're going into this competition, they've got a new group of players, they've got a new head coach, and they want to entertain. That is what they have done in this World Cup. They've got 200, they've broken records. Sophie Eccleston again has been absolutely outstanding in this tournament for the second T20 tournament in a row. To maintain those standards for as long as she had is exceptional. I just think today they weren't quite good enough, and that happens. You are going to have...
Here's Kasnadu with Heather Knight.
Alongside me, I have no doubt you're gutted, and you haven't had time to reflect on this, but what are your immediate thoughts on this loss?
Yeah, obviously gutted. I think, first of all, what a brilliant game of cricket it was. We fought really hard at the end to obviously try and take it as close as we did, but I thought South Africa, with their bowling plans, were very good. They had a clear, simple plan, took pace off, bowled straight, made it very tricky for us. Probably let them get a few too many runs in that innings, but I think this game doesn't define us as a group. I think we came out here to try and entertain, and I think we've done that this tournament, and there's certainly some talent in there to hopefully come back in the next tournament and be stronger.
When you have a look at the campaign itself, you've had a brilliant tournament, the new era of English cricket. You've got young stars coming through. Moving forward out of this tournament, how do you build on the successes that you have had, aside from this game and the loss?
Yeah, I think there's a huge amount of talent. I think we're starting to build something really nicely. But it's T20 cricket. Sometimes it's when you're playing against a good side, sometimes these fine margins happen and you lose a game. But like I say, they won't define us, and I think we're building really nicely. We're really clear on how we want to go about our T20 cricket, and the girls have really embraced it. And obviously it hasn't come off today, but I think it's the future for us going forward. Those young players, everyone being really aggressive, really attacking, and trying to take the game on and try and entertain.
How good is it for women's cricket that we've had two scintillating semi-finals here?
Yeah, it's been brilliant. I took a moment at the end to try and take it all in and listen to the noise when I was batting out in the middle. I think it's great that the people have come out and support. It was really a factor. You felt the pressure from the crowd, certainly as the opposition side, and nice to see Newlands buzzing.
When you have a look at women's cricket and how it's grown, especially since you won in 2009, what has been the biggest change and the biggest growth area in the game?
Oh, good question. Just the professionalism, I think, since I started. The amount of investment's gone into the game, and I think it's proved how much benefit you get when you do invest and when you market things properly and people come out and support. And I'm sure the people that were here yesterday and today were certainly entertained and got good value for their tickets.
A word for the two finalists on Sunday, Australia against South Africa. Sure to be a big crowd. What do you have to say to them?
Oh, look, I'll be watching. Obviously, Gussie won't be there, but credit to Sune and her team for making the final, and hopefully it's a good spectacle.
Hard luck today. Congratulations to you and your team for entertaining us. All the very best going forward.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Heather Knight, the captain of England. The winning captain today, the momentum protest, Sune Elise. I don't know where to start, but let me start by saying congratulations on making your first ever Cricket World Cup final.
Thank you.
How do you feel about the way things went? Because at 137 for 4 after 17 overs, England looked right on top, like they were coasting to victory.
Yeah, I think, just first of all, England well played. I think it was a great match. I think we were out of it. We were in it again, out of it again, in it again, and I think it just went in waves. But I think, we do have the best bowling attack in the world, and I guess it was against the best batting attack in the world, so yeah, I actually don't know what to say.
I can see that you're kind of speechless, but I'm going to keep it going. Have a look at the batting and the fact that in the tournament you've struggled to gain momentum in your batting effort. What did it mean to you that both your openers were able to take the attack to England's bowlers?
Yeah, I think we kept saying to them they need to be brave and just play free cricket and just back themselves, and I think that's what they did perfectly today. They made us extremely proud, and I think that gave us the platform, for Marizon and everyone coming in afterwards just to keep going.
Ayabonga Kaka, she steps up in the moment when she's needed. How special was that over? Because that was really the turning point, wasn't it?
Yeah, she's a phenomenal bowler. I think one of the best in the world, and I think she just showed a class again today.
So final against Australia at home in front of your home crowd. I know you're choking up because you're probably going to go have a big cry after this. But what a special moment, not just for women's cricket, but women's sport in South Africa.
It's massive. I think every game we play, we keep making history, and I think we keep inspiring a nation. And I hope this is really a turning point for not just women's cricket in South Africa, but sport in general, women's sport in South Africa. So, I hope with one game to go, we can keep doing that.
You did say that Cape Town people finish work at 2 p.m, so a very good crowd coming out here. But Sunday, with it being a holiday, the public should be out here supporting your numbers. A message to the fans about coming out on Sunday.
Yeah, the Newlands faithful turned up again today. Thank you guys for all your support. You guys are very special to us, and it's such an honor to play in front of our friends and family, and you guys have all become friends and family, so thank you, and see you guys on Sunday.
Final question. Laura Wolfhard said, all we want to do is get Marizon Cup in a final because she knows how to win finals. You're in a final now. Your big name players stand up in the big games.
No pressure, Kapi. So I think this one's for her, and I think, it's just the team has been working extremely hard over the last couple of years, and I think this was bound to happen at some point. I think we've been knocking on doors for so long and playing extremely good cricket. Just very, very excited and happy for the team to be in their first ever final.
Congratulations on making history on back-to-back games. Enjoy the celebrations and good luck for the final.
Thank you.